Attendu que le Canada est fondé sur des principes qui reconnaissent la suprématie de Dieu et la primauté du droit, prenons un moment de réflexion personnelle. Whereas Canada is founded upon principles that recognize the supremacy of God and the rule of law, let us take a moment of personal reflection. Merci tout le monde. Thank you, everyone. Item 4, additions, deletions, or amendments. We have a few under 18A, Councillor Lorrain for trail ditches. Under 18B, Councillor Saucier for hazardous waste day. And item C, Conseiller Brisson for communications. Anything else to add? Conseiller Lorrain?
Yeah, just I guess D, just Pelt Masters this weekend coming up.
Pelt Masters? Okay. Councillor Janowski?
For Ladies' Night update.
Ladies' Night, Councillor Janowski. Okay, so a motion to approve the agenda as amended. Need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Conseiller Lorrain, seconded by Conseiller Brisson. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Item 6, disclosure of pecuniary interest. See none. Item 7, adoption of minutes, regular council minutes from April 15th, 2019. Motion to approve the following minutes as presented. Moved by, need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Conseiller Lorrain, seconded by Councillor Tanowski. Questions? No? All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Item 8, presentations. Item A, presentation made by Mr. Cholly Boland for the Winchester District Memorial Hospital Project. All yours.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Cholly Boland. I'm the CEO of the Winchester District Memorial Hospital. For possibly some of you and many people in this community, it is your hospital. So I'm here just to update and certainly answer any questions, just to let you know what's going on in the hospital. We're celebrating this year the 10th anniversary of the opening of the redeveloped hospital, which happened in 2009. That was before my time, but I know it was a broad, several community initiative to fundraise and that sort of thing. I know there are many people from this community that were involved in that, so I just want to extend our thank you for that. So the title of my presentation is on WDH Pride. I'm going to tell you the things that we're really proud of. And as I mentioned, certainly happy to answer any questions. I've been here before, but obviously not for this council, so welcome to take anything. So the first statement here is called our commitment. Many organizations have what's called mission, vision, and values, and we've taken that and kind of tried to focus it and called it our commitment. It's our reason for being, our raison d'être, and hopefully if you've ever had reason to be involved with the hospital, you see this as a thread that goes through all our operations. We're there to provide care with compassion, either on our own or with partners. We pursue excellence in all we do, and I'm going to show some examples of that. And we value being a team, accountability, respect, and we're very much We try to be a leading edge organization of innovation and teaching and learning, and we sum it all up with compassionate excellence. So that's what we're all about, and hopefully, again, you've seen that if you've had to make use of Winchester Hospital. Some numbers close to home. You can see those numbers there as well as I can read them. This municipality provides about 10 to 15% of our patients during the year. You can see the largest service is emergency, over 3,000 visits, and you can read the rest of that. So it's, from our perspective, it's a very substantial municipality that sends its residents to our institution. The secret of our success, and we do quite well, it's not going to be a secret, it's about our people. One of the most difficult questions I ever get is, how many people work at the hospital? Well, we have people who are paid, and we have people who are paid by the government, and we have people who aren't paid, volunteers, and we have students. So somewhere around 400 or 500 people work at the hospital, and we're very blessed to have the entire complement. I've worked for 30 years in healthcare administration in several communities and in another province, and I've never worked with a better group of people as we have at Winchester Hospital. I think if you've been there, you probably agree with me. Just some of our stars. So we are just concluding the 5th year, and actually the last month of our 5-year strategic plan, a long-term plan that spanned 5 years. And just to let you know what we did over those 5 years, pretty much in just summary, one of our priorities was what I call keep doing what we were doing, get better at it, get better at patient care. And the other thing that we were doing back then and continue to do is we're a teaching hospital. I mentioned we have students, we have medical students, nursing students, physiotherapy students, health record students, even administration students. And the reason for that is to give back to the healthcare system, to help us recruit new people, and we do that, but it also keeps us on our toes and brings new ideas into the hospital and keeps us very vibrant. Another thing we've done over the last 5 years is we've created new programs in partnership, because as you know as well as I do, long gone are the days when the government comes along and gives you a big fat check to start a new program. So we had to do partnerships, and through partnerships we've created a new program for what's called COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, which is a lung condition. And we've developed a new program with the Community Health Center. We've got a cancer care navigator program, which is a position that helps people with cancer literally navigate themselves through the system when they've got that diagnosis. And we did that in partnership with a local fundraising group. We've got a partnership with the Ottawa Heart Institute for a rehabilitation program at a distance, so people don't have to fight their way into Ottawa. So those are some of our partnerships. And we've also developed a health research program, which we'll talk a little bit more in a minute. Every hospital in the province has an external company that monitors its patient satisfaction. And it's external, so the hospital can't be seen as managing the results or trying to spin them in this way possible. And we're very proud of our results from the patient satisfaction. You can see it's very high, and we're very, very proud of that. Not only is it high absolutely, it's way above most of the provincial averages. That all said, as much as we're proud of it, we're under no delusion that maybe we're perfect or even close to perfect. We do make mistakes. There's always opportunity for improvement. So if anyone ever has an unsatisfactory experience at the hospital, we want to hear about it, because that's how we improve. But in the eyes of many of the people we serve, we're doing an awfully good job. Some more of our staff. One of the things we've really advanced in the last 5 years is the voice of the patient within the operation of the hospital. We've always had stories, we've had letters, we've had survey results to let us know that what we're doing properly and what we aren't doing properly with patients. But 4 years ago, we started a committee, what we called our Patient and Family Engagement Committee, to let us know what's going on. And we've extended that to have patient representatives on all our planning committees. And you can see some of the things they do. They help us with our priorities, develop quality and seniors plan. Anything that's written now, as smart as we are, and we thought we were writing things clearly, when we run it by our patient committee, we find out that we're not speaking as plain a language as we should be. We've had patients on panels to help interview staff and recruit staff. We developed very sensitive new programs called, this one for example, the assisted dying, and we had patient involvement in that. And as I mentioned, we're extending all those patient representatives onto different committees. Now, I come here and I tell you, and I think we're really good and we have a high opinion of ourselves, which we do, but it's always nice when someone else comes along externally and confirms that. And being a public hospital in Ontario, we are inspected and scrutinized and reported on and accredited every different dimension of the hospital. So this is a list of external bodies that have come in and confirmed that we're doing a really good job, whether it's laboratory or pharmacy. We get accredited every year. We've received awards from Healthy Foods. We get a further accreditation on mammography, bone densitometry. And you can read the list there. And the final one is what we call the Grand Accreditation. And a couple of years ago, Accreditation Canada came in, measured us against national standards for patient care and patient safety. And we got their highest award, exemplary standing. And we were over 99% compliance with about 1,700 standards. So it's a real feather in the cap. But it's really there to give confidence to the patients who come and know they're going to get first class care. The last few years, again, as you know, it's been kind of lean in terms of government funding, but we've still been able to add services, largely in outpatient. We've got something we're really proud of called a deprescribing program. And these are for patients, often seniors, who are very ill and may have 20 or 30 or more medications they're taking on a daily basis. So maybe they don't need all those medications, but because they're taking so many and they're so ill, it's a very sensitive operation to actually take them off those. So they'll come into our hospital for 2 or 3 weeks, be under very close observation, and slowly have some of those medications reduced. And if those medications are reduced, in some cases, it can make a huge difference on that person's quality of life. Maybe they're walking around in a stupor, or they're just not as independent as they'd like to be. So that's something brand new with us. We've got restorative care programs. That could be, again, for a senior who's living at home and maybe thinking that their next move has to be into a long-term care home because they just don't seem to be thriving. They could come into our place for 2 or 3 weeks, have regular activities, have physiotherapy, get a lot of activity, get their independence kind of primed, and maybe that could extend their time at home for another 6 months before going into some other place. Pulmonary function testing is a lung assessment that people had formerly had to go into Ottawa. Low vision clinic is self-explanatory. We've expanded our urology program, and that tends to mostly us men, but not exclusively, so that's expanding. And then we have a sleep clinic that formerly you either had to go to Cornwall or into the city. Cornwall shut theirs down, so we doubled the size of our sleep clinic, so it's got a short wait list and much easier to get to. I mentioned earlier we started a research program about 3.5 years ago. Research program isn't meant to be a bunch of people with white lab coats walking around with a clipboard. The idea is, if you ever have occasion to read a research journal, it's all about what's going on in the city. It's never about what's going on in the rural community. Purpose of our research is to look at how to best care for patients in a rural setting. If we're doing really well, we'll publish and tell the world and let them know how well we're doing. And if we're not doing well, we'll examine that through research and figure out how to improve. So it's all about improving the quality. You can see there, part and parcel of research is publishing articles, doing projects, and actually receiving funds, which is part of our kind of secondary agenda. We receive funds into the hospital for research. And just a few other things. Our maternity program at one point was named the #1 maternity program in all of Ontario. It's dropped to number 2 or 3, I think, but it's still the top one in the region. We, a few years ago, used a survey that all other hospitals use to gauge the satisfaction and engagement of our physicians. It turned out we were #1 in the province. For those who have a cancer diagnosis, if they come to us for chemotherapy, we're a satellite of the Ottawa Hospital. We're actually the largest satellite treatment center anywhere in the province. That means we get lots of practice, and if you come to us, you get the same standard of care as you would in the large center. We have on campus actually 2 medical office buildings, and one's called the Community Care Center, where you can come for, I call it one-stop shopping. It isn't exactly that, but it's physicians' offices, mental health services, audiology, physiotherapy, We're very financially stable, balanced budget. We just completed our 13th consecutive year, so it's a good thing. We are a computer center for all of Eastern Ontario healthcare. That's kind of all behind the scenes, but it just helps us support all the computers in WDH too. And we try and be a good corporate citizen. We spend about $150,000 locally in our catchment area, whether it's through purchases of some non-medical supplies, or renting halls, or having events here and there. So that's what we do. And then, if you're familiar at all, if you've been to Winchester, you might have noticed there's a long-term care home literally 200 feet from the hospital. Up until 7 years ago, it was privately owned and had nothing to do with the hospital. And that changed. 7 years ago, the word on the street was that the hospital bought the long-term care home. That didn't actually happen. They still are two separate organizations. But the home has an agreement with the hospital to provide some management services. That's the formal arrangement. The informal arrangement is we both work together to make sure seniors thrive in our communities, whether it's through, preventing falls, ensuring activities, ensuring wound care, and that kind of thing. Most of our physicians in the home also have their physician in the same physician in the hospital, so if they move back and forth, they have that continuity. And then, shortly, and I don't know what shortly is, I've been talking about this for 5 years, but I think within the next 2 or 3 months, we're going to receive a government announcement that we're going to be able to rebuild the long-term care home, because it's more than 40 years old and really antiquated. And at that time, our fundraising foundation will become the fundraising body for both the hospital and the long-term care home. And this may be hard to pick out, but you can see the hospital there in the top right. Over the top left is a current nursing home, and then we've got some land and a proposed design for the new nursing home that's going to take place there. So again, kind of one-stop shop on the campus. Just like the hospital, the long-term care home receives about 10 to 15% of its residents from the service. So that's my update. And just wanted to let you know what's going on. Any questions at all?
Thank you very much, Mr. Revolt. Questions, Councilor Associate?
It's not really a question, it's a comment, because I know our local doctors in the clinic here work out of Winchester, and I taught prenatal in this area for 30 years, so I was working out of Emblem, Castleman, Winchester, and Russell. And all of the clients that I had were very pleased with the maternity care, and I worked with the midwives as well, so that was something that was really, really positive. And I'm also on the mammography program at your hospital, and my husband's getting physio there right now for knee replacement surgery. So the care, anytime I've gone there, I've always been really pleased with the care, so I just wanted to pass that on.
Well, thank you. We've just got a great group of professionals.
And reasonable wait time.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Don't tell anybody.
But it makes a big difference, is the care that you get, and you feel like people are, do care about you when you go there, so thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilor Associate. Any other questions, comments? Councilor Kanowski?
Thank you for the great presentation. So I just wanted to confirm, so you said around 10 to 15% of all the clienteles from our township, right?
Mm-hmm.
Has that number changed at all over the years, or because we're growing here? And interesting.
Well, we're growing, so off the top of my head, I don't know what the exact numbers are other than what we saw, but that proportion is staying the same. Since our overall clientele are increasing, I'd say the numbers increases.
That's great. Thank you very much for all your service.
Okay. Thank you very much. As a father of 3 teenage boys who have attended that hospital on frequent occasions, I can attest that this service is top notch. In regards to the proposed Dundas Manor, are we looking at an increase in beds at all?
Yes. So currently it's comprises 98 beds, and we have tentative approval, hopefully again finalized shortly, to bring it up an extra 30 beds, so it'll be 128.
128 beds. Just because in Prescott Russell, we're looking at increasing the residents as well. So I was just wondering, making sure that we're seeing an increase at this end as well. Perfect. Other questions, comments? Thank you very much, sir, for the presentation.
Thank you.
All right, my pleasure. Couple things, if you're interested, I'll just leave this here. This is a brochure about summarizes our services. If you're interested in getting just a few times a year a 1-page internet update, you can let us know by filling this out.
Perfect.
And I just close by saying, if you ever have a question, a concern, a suggestion, a complaint about the hospital, please give me a call. I'd be happy to talk to you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. We'll move on to item 9, delegations. Délégation présentée par M. Jean-Yves Otis au nom du Club Joie de Vivre, demande de changer la salle de rencontre du club. Bonjour, monsieur.
Bonjour, ça va bien?
Oui, vous?
Oui. Je me présente, Jean-Yves Otis.
Est-ce qu'il est dessus?
Là, il dit. Je me présente, Jean-Yves Otis, président du Club Joie de Vivre d'Anthra. Monsieur le maire, conseiller et membre du conseil municipal. Mesdames, Messieurs, je me réfère à ma lettre du 28 mars adressée à votre département à l'attention de Mme Guittard, que j'ai livrée moi-même au bureau de la municipalité ainsi qu'à ma lettre du 29 mars au même sujet. Par la présente, je résume le contenu de ces deux lettres. Comme président du Club Joie de Vivre 50 ans plus d'Embrun, j'ai l'honneur de demander à la municipalité de bien vouloir attribuer à notre club une autre salle pour nos événements spéciaux. Celle que nous avons présentement assignée est située à l'étage supérieur du Palais des Sports d'Embrun, l'Arena. Celle que nous préférions est dans le centre récréatif d'Embrun, à côté, là où nos locaux sont situés dans le sous-sol. Je demande donc par les présents que la municipalité est obligeante de bien vouloir prendre notre demande en considération. Les raisons pour cette requête sont les suivantes. Les traiteurs nous chargent un surplus chaque fois que nous organisons un souper danse dans la salle au-dessus de l'aréna. Surtout parce qu'il n'y a pas de réchaud. On a un gros problème sur ce côté-là. Notre actuel traiteur Alain Viau fera part de notre délégation. Je pense qu'il n'est pas ici aujourd'hui. Ces honoraires sont en annexe pour votre information. Les locaux de notre club sont situés dans le sous-sol du centre récréatif, ce qui rend la salle principale du centre beaucoup plus accessible pour le transport, les accessoires tels que les décorations, etc. Tout trimballer d'un édifice à l'autre dans l'organisation d'un événement nous occasionne beaucoup d'efforts, surtout que nous devons affronter la glace et la neige durant l'hiver, et nous sommes tous de certain âge. Lorsque nous engageons des musiciens, la qualité du son à l'étage de l'aréna est nettement médiocre.
Monsieur Otis, excuse, on avait toute la lettre depuis mercredi passé, so je pense pas que tu es obligé de tout relire. Je pense que vous avez juste 5 minutes, so je veux donner une opportunité pour les membres du conseil de demander des questions. De cette manière-là, on peut faire certain qu'on ne manque pas de temps. On a vu toute ta lettre, so je pense qu'on a toute l'information. Je ne sais pas si les membres du conseil avaient des questions pour M. Councillor Karnowski.
Ce serait surtout des questions aussi pour Mme Guittard. Alors, premièrement, la différence de coût pour la location, si je comprends bien, c'est normalement 350 $ pour la salle.
Juste
309 plus
Juste
taxes.
taxe. À peu près 350 pièces. OK.
Et puis l'autre local comme c'est là,
150 avec taxes.
Mais il y a un discount là-dessus.
Il y avait eu un rabais de données pour 150, je pense, juste. C'est ça, 150 $ taxes incluses. Le conseil avait approuvé au mois d'août 2018, si je ne me trompe pas, un rabais sur cette salle-là pour que le Club Joie de Vivre puisse aller à la salle.
OK. Alors, normalement, le coût de la salle comme c'est là aujourd'hui, ça serait?
164 plus juste.
Presque 200.
Fait qu'environ 200 versus 309. C'est ça?
C'est ça.
Okay. J'ai une couple d'autres questions, c'est quand même, juste pour m'assurer de tout savoir. Est-ce que le Club Joie de Vivre serait flexible de changer leur jour un lundi ou mardi si ça ne serait pas un mercredi? Je sais que vous êtes régulièrement le mercredi. C'est juste une question. Si vous avez de la flexibilité à ce que ce soit le lundi ou un mardi soir. Vous pouvez me répondre, c'est juste...
Moi,
c'est
je
une
vois
question.
pas là pourquoi pas.
OK.
Je suis certain que si j'amène ça au conseil d'administration, ça va être discuté, puis je suis pas mal certain que ça va passer, ça.
OK. Et puis, OK, mon autre question, ça serait, est-ce que le groupe serait préparé à avoir une situation où, disons, la salle qu'on vous donne comme préférée, ça serait la grande salle, mais si jamais il y a un gros groupe qui l'a besoin, vous le sauriez beaucoup d'avance et tout ça, qu'on vous remettrait à l'autre salle. Est-ce que ça serait une option? Je vous mets en comme... Hein?
Au pire.
Oui, c'est ça, au pire. Situation au pire. Ça, comme moi, je me dis, le lundi, mardi, d'habitude, cette salle-là n'est pas utilisée. Alors, il y a des bonnes chances que ça arrivera peut-être pas ou peut-être jamais, mais juste à savoir. Parce que nous autres, en tant que conseillers, moi, on veut vous supporter à 100%, mais en même temps aussi, on doit être responsable au niveau de si on perd des revenus parce qu'on a des plus gros groupes qui veulent louer la salle, mettons.
Définitivement, moi, je suis d'accord avec ça.
OK. C'est mes seules questions. Merci.
D'autres questions? Conseiller Laurent?
Moi, j'ai 3-4 questions. La première, c'est pour l'administration. Est-ce qu'ils sont toutes des soirées, comme de 5h à 10h, quelque chose comme ça? Ou?
C'est à peu près de 5h à 10h.
OK.
On a la décoration à faire le matin quand
Wow.
même, mais normalement, c'est de 5h à 10h.
OK. Et est-ce que pour ces soirées-là, est-ce que nous autres, on fait le bar pour ces 5 heures-là?
Monsieur le Duc, Madame Mitard?
Merci, Monsieur le maire du Conseil. Oui. Oui, on fait le bar. Puis si vous allez voir plus tard dans la soirée, je vais présenter mon rapport. Dans le rapport, je mentionne le nombre d'heures que je dois payer un employé pour faire le service de bar.
OK. La prochaine question, c'est pour ces soirées-là, c'est-tu seulement les membres du Club de Joie de Vivre qui viennent ou est-ce que c'est des billets qui sont en vente et vous faites un profit là-dessus?
Ça dépend des soirées, comme on a fait une soirée country qui s'en vient, ça c'est tout le monde qui est invité, mais graduellement, il va y avoir de plus en plus de soirées à grande ouvertes à tout le monde.
Plus d'événements.
Plus d'événements, je travaille bien fort là-dessus.
OK. Alors, est-ce que c'est, à ce point-là, est-ce que c'est pour le club de faire un profit là-dessus? Pour mettre de l'argent dans vos poches? Pour des autres événements?
On fait un profit dessus, mais on le donne à d'autres organismes, on s'en garde une partie aussi pour nos dépenses.
Oui, absolument. Vous devez payer vos dépenses, absolument.
Oui.
Les soirées ne sont pas toutes les mercredis. Ce sont des samedis aussi, hein?
Oui, parce qu'il y a
La soirée country,
la
c'est un
soirée country,
samedi.
c'est un samedi, puis
Le Ritz militaire.
le Ritz militaire, non, je pense que c'est le festival d'été. C'est un mardi, je crois.
OK. Alors, ça c'est l'autre. Est-ce que la grande salle a été déjà bookée pour tous ces événements?
Madame Mitard?
Merci, Monsieur le maire du Conseil. Je ne sais pas, il faudrait vérifier à ce moment-ci parce que puisque la salle du Palais des Sports était la salle attribuée au Club Joie de Vivre, nous, pour le reste de l'année, il faudrait vérifier si ces soirées-là sont déjà réservées là, par d'autres utilisateurs.
Est-ce que vous savez si quelqu'un d'autre a déjà fait la demande pour la grande salle, pour tous ces événements, ces soupers danse? Je demande cette question parce que dans ta lettre,
Oui.
ça dit « Va visiter le site web pour en trouver plus ». J'ai visité le site web et chaque événement, ça dit le centre, la grande salle.
Ça, c'est une erreur qu'il y a eu, c'est parce que normalement, on se posait de l'avoir en haut de l'aréna. Puis la majorité du temps, depuis le mois de septembre, il y avait tout le temps de quoi on se retrouve tout le temps dans la grande salle à part de cette fois-ci.
OK. OK. Parce qu'il y en a une couple qui disent le centre récréatif au-dessus de l'aréna,
C'est ça.
mais tous les événements qui s'en viennent, ça dit le centre en la grande salle. C'est pour ça que je voulais savoir si c'était déjà booké ou quoi, mais
Ça a été booké dans la grande salle actuellement. Qu'est-ce qui reste? C'est le festival d'été qui est supposé être dans la grande salle. Et puis la soirée country qui est au mois de septembre, le 28 de septembre.
Ces deux-là sont déjà bookés. Madame
C'est
Guitard?
déjà booké.
à plein prix.
Madame Guitard?
Merci, monsieur le maire du conseil. Non, parce que ça, c'est des soirées gratuites qu'on alloue au Club Joie de Vivre. Parce que ça, c'est des soirées de fundraising. Le Festival Western, c'est un
Ok.
genre de fundraising pour le club. Festival d'été, ça fait partie du festival d'été pour leur messe militaire puis leur soirée de danse. Puis ensuite de ça, il y a leur soirée au carnaval aussi qui est gratuite pour eux. Donc, il y a 3 soirées qui sont gratuites pour le club par année, plus celle du 31 décembre qui est faite conjointement avec 2 autres associations communautaires. Ça
Alors,
aussi, c'est gratuit.
combien d'événements est-ce qu'on parle? Parce qu'on dit à chaque mois, mais ça regarde comme à chaque mois, on a quelque chose d'autre déjà booké avec un gratuit avec nos contributions Community Grants Program.
Oui, on a comme je vous ai dit, le festival d'été.
Le festival d'été, c'est déjà dans le Community Grants.
Oui.
Alors, on ne parle pas de celui-là.
So, il y a 4 événements qui font partie du Community Grants présentement.
Merci, M. Lang. Si vous regardez aussi dans le rapport, j'ai mentionné, ils demandent présentement 7 soirées gratuites pour leur souper
Un
du
prix
club.
réduit.
À un
C'est ça
prix
qui est,
réduit.
oui, c'est ça qui est différent, là. Eux veulent le centre communautaire d'Embrun pour leur souper mensuel du club. Tandis que les 4 autres événements, ça, c'est des soirées qui sont ouvertes au public. Pas les 7 soupers, là. Ça, c'est 7 soupers annuels. Mensuels, excusez,
On
mensuels.
regarde, c'est ça, vraiment, la demande, c'est pour ces 7-là à un prix réduit.
C'est ça, parce que les 4 autres sont gratuits.
Est-ce que c'est tous les mercredis soirs qu'on demande pour ces soupers?
Oui.
Et normalement, Mme Guitard, est-ce qu'on a des bookings ces soirées-là? Les mercredis soirs de 5 à 10?
Je vais vous dire oui, parce qu'on utilise beaucoup nos salles pour les programmes municipaux. OK? Je ne vous dis pas qu'on ne peut pas les déplacer. OK? Mais oui, les 2 salles sont très utilisées pour les programmes municipaux. Puis là, M. Otis avait fait la demande pour la salle d'Aréna. Donc, quand on a planifié nos programmes à l'automne et à l'hiver, on avait réservé ces mercredis-là pour lui. Là. Donc, si à l'automne, il veut faire un transfert au centre communautaire, il faudra qu'on planifie en conséquence.
OK. On va avoir plus de discussions quand le rapport va être présenté. On a-t-il d'autres questions pour M. Otis directement? Non, je ne vais pas. Councilor Chernowski?
Juste confirmer, parce que Mme Guitard dit 7 soupers. Moi, j'ai le troisième mercredi de chaque mois pour 10 mois. C'est à cause des autres. Là.
Oui, puis ils n'en ont pas durant l'été. Là. Fait qu'ils ont oublié d'enlever ça. Ils ont oublié d'enlever les 2 durant l'été qui n'en ont pas, juillet et août.
Oui, c'est ça.
Ils n'ont pas de souper durant l'été. Puis en plus de ça, les quatre autres événements ne font pas partie des soupers mensuels.
D'accord.
OK?
Fait que ça veut dire qu'il n'y a pas de souper mensuel durant
C'est
les mois
ça.
où c'est ces événements.
OK. Conseiller Brisson?
Une demande, je sais qu'avant, c'était vous louer les chevaliers de colombe. Ça fait combien longtemps que ça a été déménagé
Ça fait
un an?
Pas tout à fait.
ça fait-
Ça commence en septembre 2018.
Donc, avant ça, il n'était pas
Il était au
client,
Chevalier.
il était au Chevalier, donc
Oui.
il y avait une autre salle.
C'est pour ça que je suis venue l'année dernière au mois d'août pour vous demander un rabais parce que le club voulait s'en venir dans la salle de l'Aréna, mais le 164 plus HST, c'était un peu dispendieux pour eux. Donc, je suis venue chercher un rabais pour eux ici.
OK. Councilor Chernowski, dans le conseil de Lorraine?
Juste, je pense pas qu'on en a une, mais est-ce qu'on a une politique d'escompte pour les clients qui utilisent régulièrement? Est-ce que ça serait possible d'avoir une politique comme ça en place?
Madame Guitard?
Ça serait toujours possible. La seule chose que je pense que, en tout cas, personnellement, je trouve que c'est préférable de venir au conseil parce qu'on a quand même une politique de frais d'usager. Donc, c'est que ça devient compliqué à gérer ces choses-là. Fait que je pense que, comme souvent on nous a dit, c'est peut-être préférable de garder de 1 à 1 quand on a des demandes comme ça, parce qu'on n'a pas souvent ces demandes.
Conseiller Larocque?
My opinion, and actually coming to that point, my opinion is that if there's a discount being provided for a hall rental, that it should fall into community grants, the difference, right, as an in-kind.
Yep.
Because that's exactly what it is, it's an in-kind. I'll speak a little bit to this, 'cause, I mean, we're talking about, you know, we're spending some time, we're talking about $1,000 at this point. 7 days at $150 gross, right, between 200 and 350, which is the amount that is in there, so we're talking $1,000 here. So, when it comes to the actual discussion, so this will come up in
Yes.
a further discussion, so, I mean, let's keep that in mind before we spend an hour discussing it, it's $1,000. And I'm sure that we have some money, if not in our in-kind community grants budget, that we could look at. I'm not suggesting, je dis pas qu'on va dire oui, mais on a de l'argent dans nos bon, en français m'échappe.
Groupes communautaires. Les
Nos-
fonds des groupes communautaires.
Ouais, exactement. Alors, on va vérifier ce temps-là, mais comme je dis, on parle de 1 000 $. Alors,
Parfait. D'autres questions pour M. Otis? Non? On va continuer la discussion.
Merci beaucoup à tout le monde.
Merci beaucoup. Move on to item 10, consent items. Motion that all items listed under consent items be received as presented. Item A, minutes of the Parks, Recreation, Culture Advisory Committee, February 11, 2019. Item B, minutes of the Environmental Advisory Committee from February 6, 2019. Item C, minutes of the Township of Russell Public Library Board of March 21st, 2019. Item D, minutes of the Accessibility Advisory Committee from November 23rd, 2018. And item E, minutes of the Police Village of Russell, March 7, 2019. Need a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councilor Kanowski, seconded by Conseiller Brisson. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Item 11, reports from departments and council committees. Item A, 2018 financial statements presentation report FS 22, 2019. The council receives report FS 20 or 22? 22. 2019, dated May 6, 2019, acknowledge receipt of the 2018 financial statements presented by BDO, our external auditors. Monsieur Leduc, Monsieur Godin.
Merci, M. le maire. Bonsoir, cher membre du conseil. Donc, vous avez tous rencontré Mme Annick Blanchard quelques semaines passées. On a travaillé fort avec Annick dans les dernières semaines, puis son équipe, pour finaliser l'exercice financier de 2018. Donc, Mme Blanchard est ici ce soir pour présenter les résultats de cet exercice-là, ainsi que donner un survol, un high-level review of our financial statements for the year 2018. Donc, sur ça, je vais laisser la parole à Mme Blanchard.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir. So we'll start with our final report to council. We do have a French and an English version. I'll go briefly because you'll have a chance to have read it, and if there's questions, let me know. So basically, at this point, the audit is completed. We have outstanding items, approval of financial statements by council, updating representations at that point, and also some legal confirmations. I received one of the 4, so we'll follow up this week for that. You had our plan dated March 4. Basically, our audit remained the same. We increased materiality to $550,000 to reflect actual revenues. On pages 5 and 6, on those pages, we report back on the findings for the significant risks that we had highlighted. So basically, revenue recognition was one where we mentioned that there's always a standard risk. We did send out confirmations for taxes revenue, taxes receivable, and no issues were encountered. Liability for contaminated site, basically we concur with management that there's no liability to be recorded. Potential lawsuits, again, we sent legal letters, only one was received so far, but we don't foresee any issues on that front. Management override of controls, again, a significant list that's always presented in audits. Review of journal entries, discussions with management, we don't have any issues that we've encountered. And the next point is opening balances. So basically, it's our first year as auditors. We did review the working papers from your predecessor auditor. Based on this year's audit, we did find a prior period restatement, which is found in the financial statements, so we can cover that once we get to the statements. On page 7, we report back on internal controls. So basically, we don't do an internal control audit, but we do look at some internal controls as part of our work, walk through significant financial statement areas. So while there's no significant deficiency or anything of concern, we did provide in Appendix B, we do have our management letter that we've provided. We've discussed with management, and most of these points will be at least discussed through the year. On page 8, it's all other required communications, so it's all non and unnoted, so nothing to be worried about. When you look at Appendix A, the first one is, if you go back to I mentioned material fees, $550,000. Anything that we find that's in excess of 5% of that amount, that's either corrected or not corrected, we have to report back to council. So on this page here, on page 11, you have the items that were found that were not corrected. Most of them affect the column that's accumulated surplus and surplus. So basically last year's numbers. So that's why we're not suggesting any adjustment for those items. The next 2 pages are the adjustments that were posted during the audit. And then Appendix B is the management letter that I discussed.
So essentially, we've all had the report since last week. I'm not sure if members of council had questions. But essentially, we're doing good. There was no significant red flags that were raised. Everything's above board. Staff are doing a fantastic job. And so is there something specific you'd like to highlight for us, or?
No, basically the recommendations we have there are nothing to be worried about. Just say items we highlighted in the audit.
Questions, comments, members of council? No? You have special, Councillor Tarnowski?
I think in one of the issues there was a password policy. Has that been addressed?
Monsieur Leduc, Monsieur Godin?
Councillor Tarnowski. So not at this point in time. I mean, we received the letter last week, and so we'll be looking at each recommendation and looking at what we can do to address all those issues. We have many softwares and our logins and stuff like that we do have password changes policies, but what they've identified here is really like our financial system and the budget software and things like that. While our password or user ID reviews are kind of spontaneous, it'd be good to have a practice where we have that. So kind of like a standard practice to follow every year.
Councillor Tarnowski?
So in line with that, I think there was a recommendation for a cybersecurity audit. So that's something that is going to get looked at, I gather.
Yes, and we've also requested some forms from our insurance provider for quotes on cybersecurity, and we'll have this discussed with counties as well, because they're our IT department basically. But we are looking into those issues. Thank you.
D'autres questions? Conseiller Brisson?
C'est peut-être de quoi qu'il aurait dû voir avec le budget, tout ça. Mais quand on voit à la page 16, dans les autres revenus, quand il arrive sur les development charge, l'actuel de l'année passée de 4 millions, puis de cette année de 1 million seulement. C'est peut-être pas encore que l'éducation que ça varie tant que ça.
Monsieur Godin?
Ben, un des gros changements qu'il y a eu en 2018, c'est la mise à service du dôme. Donc pour le dôme sportif, il y a un 2,4 millions qui a été pris des charges de développement. Donc c'est un montant assez significatif là, plus à chaque année aussi pour le paiement d'emprunt avec Polo d'Ottawa. On va chercher un montant assez significatif là. Si je regarde bien, tu parles du 4,2 millions jusqu'à 1,3 million de 2017 à 2018.
1,3 millions.
Donc c'est ça, le gros changement, c'est par rapport au Sports Zone, où on a été chercher à 2,3 millions. C'est ça.
OK. Ça fait que là, c'est pas... C'est qu'il part pas au complet, puis avec une dépense pour le don, ça a été cherché en dedans, puis ça, c'était juste le surcoût, c'était ça? Comment ça marche pour avec le...
C'est parce que pour les revenus, quand on parle des frais de développement, le revenu est reconnu le jour qu'on le dépense, dans le fond, pour un projet capital. Donc, même si les montants ont été accumulés pendant 5 ou 6 ans, c'est l'année auquel on va livrer le projet qu'on reconnaît les frais de développement comme des revenus.
Bon,
Entre-temps, on appelle ça des deferred revenus.
OK.
Parce qu'on ne peut pas les reconnaître comme revenus dans l'année qu'on les reçoit, parce qu'ils sont vraiment earmarked, ils sont vraiment comme on les reçoit spécifiquement pour des projets qui sont identifiés dans la...
Ils sont mis en réserve. Puis là, c'est pour ça que l'année passée avec le Dôme,
Ouais.
ils ont été chercher là-dessus pour le faire.
C'est ça, c'est là qu'on le reconnaît comme un revenu, donc c'est pour ça que vous présentez
Il y a
les
3 millions de plus. OK. C'est parfait, merci.
D'autres questions, commentaires, on du conseil? Quelque chose d'autre à ajouter de l'administration, M. Pétain?
Moi, je veux dire, je suis très content de l'exercice, ça s'est bien passé. On est des nouveaux auditeurs. C'est certain qu'on ne savait pas trop à quoi s'attendre.
Quelqu'un autre chose?
C'est ça, exactement. Mais puis ça fait toujours du bien aussi d'avoir un fresh, it's good to have a fresh look at our numbers and our practices. Some of those recommendations, I mean, we're going to take them seriously and we're going to look at it to see what we can do to improve our processes. And, I'd just like to thank Anik and her team as well, because c'est très agréable de travailler avec eux.
C'est parfait. Merci beaucoup, Mme Blanchard, et tu dis merci à l'équipe aussi.
C'est juste pour mentionner aussi que ça, c'était la première année sur 3 ans. On a de
Contrat de 3 ans. Parfait. All right. Merci beaucoup.
Merci.
We'll move on to the next item. Item B, Heritage Conservation District Study Recommendations, Report PD 28A 2019. The council received report PD 28A 2019 dated May 6, 2019 concerning the consultation and study findings of a Heritage Conservation District in Russell, and direct staff to proceed with the next step of the proposed Heritage Conservation District designation process, which implies a cost commitment of approximately $60,000 in the 2020 budget, and that council grants an exemption to the purchasing policy for the procurement of goods and services as per Section 43 of Bylaw 65-2013, and retain the services of MTBA to finalize the project of a Heritage Conservation District designation in the village of Russell. This is the second time the report is coming forward to council. We've had a lengthy discussion in the past. I'm not sure with the additions to the report, if there's questions, comments, members of council. Councillor Tarnowski?
I just have a couple of questions. So firstly, I just want to clarify that I fully understand. So the HDC, will it require residents to follow design guidelines, or will it be recommendations only? Because in the proposal, it talks about an example where it says it would be preferred, repair and restoration of historic windows, as an example, are preferable to replacement. Only those windows or doors that are beyond reasonable repair should be replaced. Little things like that. So I'm trying to gauge if this is going to be a requirement for people to follow, like homeowners, or will it be a recommendation?
Monsieur le Duc, Madame Tremblay?
Bonsoir. Donc, depending on how we're going to go, so depending on how the public is going to be involved and at which level we want to go, it's hard for me to answer your question, because it's going to be developed with the people that are the resident that lives in the district. So we had a lot of discussion based on the public meetings, and there's some that are going to be required, and there's some that are going to be recommendation based on the level of depth that we want to go in that report. So based on the feedback that we're going to get from the residents, that's how the level of detail will be involved in the report. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's hard for me to kind of answer the question, because we don't know what the residents want at this point, but it's all going to be done through consultation and with the involvement of the residents. So if they want to go in the
depth?
detail, then that's what your council is going to see. But if we were going to, some of the requirements of the recommendation are going to be at a higher level of recommendation.
Councillor Tarnowski?
Okay, thank you. So what you're saying essentially is, as it's said in there, that it's definitely community driven.
Yeah.
So what are there any established metrics that we can see that are going to confirm this statement? Like, what's community driven? I understand the concept of that, but at what point is someone going to come up against us and say, well, I didn't agree to that, but and I'm part of the community. Is that something that's been considered?
Madame Tremblay?
Through Mr. Mayor, so as part of so the consultant will come again and consult with the public and the resident and will establish some guidelines. And then depending on the guideline that will be established, the resident will have, again, the opportunity to get feedbacks on what's proposed. And then it's gonna be proposed to the council, but this could be appealed by the resident if they don't agree to the level of what's being proposed in the report. So there's an appeal process. But again, council will have to sit and make a decision based on what's being proposed on the level of detail that the report is proposing.
Conseiller Larrain?
So, in the report, we're also talking about the 20,000 from the 2019 budget on top of the 60,000, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And the exemption is because it's over 25,000? Is that the reason? Okay. Just, I've never been a fan of sole sourcing a project, even understanding that they've been doing it from pretty much the start, and they're the ones that have done it, but the cost was supposed to be under a certain amount, and now we're going way above. So that kinda, don't necessarily like that too much. So that one's gonna be tough for me, but, I'll see what council says, and we'll talk at that point.
D'autres questions? Madame Tremblay?
Just to answer Mr. Lorrain's concern is we need to keep in mind that there's not a lot of consultants that do that type of work as well, and the background report that was all done is almost continuing to what we're getting into, so it wouldn't make sense at this point to start over with another company. So that's why we're kind of feeling comfortable of going with the company, because we've been satisfied with the work that they've done first, and the second is the background report and all the research that was concluded as part of the first phase is what's gonna help them continue to the other steps of the work.
Conseiller Larrain, regarding conseiller Tremblay.
Yeah, 100% understand the reasoning behind it. However, we can probably say that for every single project that we do, that there's a limited amount of people that can do it, that this company has already done all the research for us, so therefore we should go with them. This is why we have the checks and balances in place, to avoid situations where, you know, we get a small bid in, or we keep an initial price under that, they do all the work, and then we give them the bigger project sole source. So I'm not saying there was anything done wrong here, all I'm saying is I don't like doing this.
Monsieur Le Duc?
Demande conseil. Let's also remember that we went through this step by step, where we only did the initial review, weren't sure if we were gonna go ahead or not. Went to the second step, same question, are you going ahead or not? So every time we keep on adding it to, so I understand your point, Councilor Lorrain, but in this case, it's like a sick leave that comes in every month, okay, month. After 12 times, it's a year. So in this case, it's the same thing, where we've just been adding to the project along the way. So I understand your concern, though.
Councilor Janowski?
Monsieur Le Duc, by your analogy, am I to interpret that this is a sick project, or? I just wanted to, I guess, still trying to understand, because we're adding the cost to this. If this is gonna be a guideline, I'm just not 100% convinced. I like the idea of it and everything else, it makes total sense to me. But if it's only gonna be a guideline, which we can't answer if it's gonna be mandatory a guideline, but if it's only gonna be a guideline, is there a benefit if there's no enforcement behind it and it's only a suggestion? So is there a benefit to go down this road or not? So I'm not sure, so.
I believe, if I remember well in the report, this is actually something that would be designated on the property itself, so there are.
Through the province.
It's through the province, so there are, there's guidelines that have to be respected once those guidelines are put in place. But council, and it's that point, discussions with the public and what comes to approval to council. Madame Tremblay?
Si je peux juste répondre en français, ça va être plus facile pour moi. Quand je disais tantôt les guidelines versus qu'est-ce qui va être recommandation versus qu'est-ce qui va être plus rigide, c'est vraiment qu'est-ce qui va être déterminé dans le rapport. Fait que quand je disais qu'est-ce qui est plus limité, par exemple, le style de fenêtre, quand le consultant va revenir, va dire la brique, c'est quelque chose qui est important, qu'on devrait conserver. À ce moment-là, ça va être plus rigide au niveau des critères. Mais ce que je parlais dans le plus flexible, c'est où on va aller. Par exemple, la couleur de la porte, c'est pas quelque chose qu'on veut aller. Fait que c'est pour ça que je disais que c'est plus recommandation, qu'il va y avoir plus des guides qui vont dire dans certains cas, on devrait peut-être aller où c'est possible de le refaire, mais dans d'autres cas, c'est plus rigide, où c'est quelque chose qui va être une étude, pas une étude, mais qui va être identifié spécifique à cette maison-là. À ce moment-là, c'est pas quelque chose qui va être une recommandation, mais que ça va être une obligation. Fait qu'à ce moment-là, c'est pour ça que chaque maison dans le district va avoir une fiche qui va y déterminer les éléments qui sont essentiels à cette maison-là, qui fait partie du district, qui mentionne pourquoi cette maison-là est importante, quels sont les éléments architecturaux qui doivent être conservés. Fait qu'à ce moment-là, c'est plus une recommandation, mais c'est un guide qui va être plus rigide. Ce district-là est enregistré à la province, puis à ce moment-là, nous, on a l'obligation de respecter qu'est-ce qu'il y a dans le guide. Fait qu'il y a des éléments qui sont des recommandations, mais d'autres éléments qui sont plus rigides.
Puis ça, c'est vraiment qu'est-ce qui va être approuvé par le conseil. There'll be an appeal process as well if people want to object to that.
Exactly.
But it could be some little things where, you know, while everybody on that street has a 30-foot front yard, obviously somebody can't just build 2 feet from the sidewalk. That would be something along those lines that we could find in the district.
Or if you have a bigger property, then that property could not be severed because everybody else has a bigger property. So those are not recommendations, those are strictly based on the district and the consultation from the recommendation.
Conseiller Laurent?
And I mean, I guess we just have to be conscious of the fact that, you know, if we vote in favor of this tonight, we're spending $80,000. So are we gonna 20, that's in the 2019 budget, plus 60 in the 2020 budget that we're jumping the gun on for the.
We've committed to the 20.
Yeah. Well, the 20 is committed in this budget this year.
The 20 is in this budget, but we have to pass the resolution to allow them to actually spend it. Right? So we're committing to $80,000 for this report, this study to be done. So essentially, if you're not in favor of it, you may as well say it now because we're gonna spend $80,000. But at the end of the day, they're gonna come back and say, well, here's our report. Are we going forward or are we not? Well, we just spent $80,000, say yes or no. To me, you're spending $80,000 tonight to say yes, if you're spending it. 'Cause I'd hate to waste $80,000 at the end of the day.
Thank you very much. Conseiller Brisson?
Avec cette étude-là, je comprends que c'est à cause qu'on veut préserver l'image du village avec les distances et les grosseurs. Qu'est-ce qui arrive un petit peu, ben, ça va déterminer un peu comment fort qu'on va avec l'étude aussi et comment sévère qu'on va dessus. C'est avec des fois comment sévère tu vas avec un qui a une maison désignée comme catégorie 1 qui est dedans, mais que s'il décide, tu sais, il faut réaliser qu'il va être plus limité à qu'est-ce qu'il peut faire avec. Si j'ai bien compris le rapport, ou s'ils peuvent dire, OK, ben c'est juste pour le district, on ne met pas autant d'emphase sur les maisons qu'ils font que juste la distance soit des 2 étages ou des 1 étage, puis tout ça. Je sais pas si tu suis.
Si je comprends bien, Mme Tremblay, essentiellement, le district comme tel te dit qu'on va faire une évaluation de toutes les propriétés, puis ça va t'indiquer pour chaque propriété c'est quoi the character of the houses or what standards that we should follow for that specific property.
Parce qu'il va être dans différentes catégories.
Mme Tremblay?
Donc, dans le rapport, il y avait un attachement, le background report, puis il y avait des fiches aussi qui avaient identifié. Donc, chaque propriété a déjà été évaluée, puis ces propriétés-là sont identifiées dans un range de 1 à 4, de 1 qui contribue énormément, 4 qui ne contribue pas du tout. Puis chaque fiche, disons qu'il y a une fiche que la maison, c'est un 1 qui contribue. Les étapes qui viennent à suivre, c'est de déterminer exactement c'est pourquoi est un 1 puis c'est quel élément architectural qu'on devrait conserver sur cette maison-là. Est-ce qu'on va être plus restrictif ou non? Non, parce que la personne a le droit d'agrandir, la personne a le droit de faire ce qu'elle veut sur sa propriété. dans l'intention qu'elle respecte les guides qu'il y a dans les paramètres qui ont été établis dans l'étude. Fait qu'il n'y a pas plus de restrictions au niveau de comment ça va être fait, ou c'est juste de s'assurer que les éléments qui ont été identifiés dans l'étude vont être conservés.
Pour revenir, c'est ça. Si l'avantage que je vois, c'est juste que de cette manière-là, si on fait l'étude qui accorde avec le district, c'est que là, on ne peut pas avoir un bloc appartement au milieu de sa grande rue à Russell qui défigurerait le look comme c'est là, mais il pourrait avoir une plus vieille maison qui est en démanche, qui pourrait être défaite, mais juste refaite unifamiliale, comme ça. Ça serait plus pour préserver.
C'est vraiment respecter le caractère de l'endroit où on a décidé de désigner comme étant un district. Fait que c'est vraiment de prendre en considération les paramètres qui fait qu'on a le caractère de ce secteur-là, c'est ce qu'on essaie de protéger avec ce qu'on essaie d'implanter. Fait que oui, vous avez raison que si jamais il y a une maison qui est désignée un 4, par exemple, que cette maison-là est démolie, bien, le guide va rentrer en jeu. Puis la nouvelle maison qui va être construite va devoir respecter l'environnement qu'il y a autour d'elle. Il peut avoir quelque chose de massif si les voisins sont un étage, puis qui sont proches de la rue. À ce moment-là, le nouveau va être peut-être un étage en descendant, mais plus proche de la rue pour respecter l'environnement qu'il y a autour. Fait que c'est ça que le guide va faire, c'est qu'il va nous guider à respecter les nouvelles constructions qui vont être proposées dans ce district-là.
Councilor Associate.
It's a very good report, and you said 160 other municipalities have these heritage districts. And I would really encourage everybody to go to these meetings because everyone has a lot of questions, and I've been to every one, and I think that, I got a lot of my questions answered by attending and talking to the consultants that were doing the study. Because I think my idea is that it's to preserve the village core, have it look like it is. People can make updates, they can make changes, but just to fit with the character of the village, that we don't lose it. And that's simply what it is, right?
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Other questions or comments? Anything to add from the administration? No? We'll move on to the next item. Item C, grant application report 2018 Q4 report FS 18-2019. The council received report FS 18-2019 dated May 6, 2019 for information purposes. Questions, comments on the report? Councilor Chernowski?
You guys are gonna hate me, but actually for all of these great reports, I would like to see as a percentage of total revenue for each of them, just to see the impact, and we can measure it from year to year a lot easier. I really like percentages, sorry.
Okay. Noted. Anything to add for the administration? No? Move on to the next item. Item D, summary of purchases awarded over $25,000, report FS 19-2019. The council receives report FS 19-2019 dated May 6, 2019 for information purposes. Questions, comments, members of council? No? Any? Councilor Lane?
Sorry, not on this item, I forgot to ask if we can have item B removed from the consent items.
Yeah, we'll remove item
Sorry.
D. Item D, any questions? Anything to add from the administration? No? We'll move on to the next report. Item E, summary of sponsorships, advertising donations for 2018, report FS 20-2019. The council receives report FS 20-2019 dated May 6, 2019 for information purposes. Questions, comments, members of council? Anything to add for the administration? Just like the others. Item F, 2018 final financial report, report FS 21-2019. The council receives report FS 21-2019 dated May 6, 2019, acknowledges receipt of the final financial report for 2018. Questions, comments, members of council? No? Anything to add from the administration? Mr. Godin?
Oui, merci, M. Maire. I guess basically just at a high level, just to highlight the report, I guess, is the amount that we're transferring to the sports zone unfinanced portion. So we had passed a resolution back in December that any budgetary surplus would be applied to the unfinanced portion. So we are transferring $92,000, which represents the budgetary surplus.
Thank you.
And also just to mention, a new practice that we had this year also, we had passed in, I think, December of 2017, the new reserve management policy. So we also applied this year, so we have those automatic transfers for any savings that we had on salary lines were transferred to the HR, or the HR salary reserve. And we also had some transfers within the winter control reserve and the police services reserve to stabilize the budget.
Right, as per the policies being put in place. Okay, other questions, comments, members of council? No, we'll move on to the next item. Item G, 2019 final tax rates report FS 23-2019. The council receives report FS 23-2019 dated May 6, 2019, and approves the proposed bylaw establishing the 2019 final tax rates for all categories, which sets a tax increase of 2% as approved by council with the 2019 budget. Questions, comments, members of council? Conseiller Tarnowski, then Conseiller Lorrain.
Monsieur Godin, juste pour confirmer que je comprends ça comme il faut, est-ce que je peux dire that our municipal tax rate has decreased again, but the overall tax increase represents 2% considering the increase in property values? Is that correct?
Mr. Godin?
That's correct, Councilor Johnson.
Councilor Lorrain?
I'd like to ask that this item be pulled from the consent items as well, please.
Okay. We'll remove this one as well. Item H, noise bylaw amendment report PIC 12A 2019. Council receives report PIC 12A 2019 dated May 6, 2019, and approves as recommended in this report the noise bylaw exemption to allow the Russell Ag Society in conjunction with the Russell Lions Club to hold pre-Canada Day Bash, a music and bar event on June 30th between the hours of 7 p.m. to 12 a.m. at the fairgrounds, and Canada Day activities on July 1st, 2019 between 12 noon and 11:30 p.m. and fireworks at dusk, 9:30 to 10 p.m. in the soccer field of the Russell High School. This is a report that's coming back that answered some of the few questions we had last time, and there was a little bit of mix-up as far as information getting received from both parties. Is there questions, comments, members of council? Any, Conseiller Lorrain?
Do we know who's the primary on it? Is it the Lions or the Ag Society?
They're working in conjunction.
Well, I know they always work in conjunction, but usually one takes the lead. So that's why, because I mean, obviously there was a lot of confusion, so I was just trying to understand who was leading.
Most of the information I received was from the Ag Society.
Okay, thank you.
So I would think maybe they're really, but.
Okay. Perfect. Other questions? Anything back from the administration? No, it's pretty self-explanatory. We'll move on to the next item. Item I, Retail Business Holiday Act, report PIC 13-2019. The council receives report PIC 13-2019 dated May 6, 2019, and as recommended in this report, 1, the council exempts the Township of Russell from the Retail Business Holiday Act, RBHA, by enacting the proposed holiday shopping bylaw with mandatory closure dates, and that 2, the council approves a proposed bylaw to permit certain retail establishments to open on holidays and all related amendments, and repeal the current bylaw number 2018-093. Questions, comments, members of council? Councilor Tarnowski.
So if we were wanting to discuss, how many days, what days and so on, should we remove this from the consent items?
We can remove it consent items, we can have the discussion right now, either way is fine.
Okay.
If we're planning on making any changes, then yes, might as well, we'll say we're pulling it out.
It's the first time I do that, thank you.
So, any other questions at this point in time?
I'll speak.
You'll speak then, Councilor Sosi?
I just thought we had decided on the dates, have we not? Or are we changing?
That'll be up to, at the
Okay.
discussion.
Alright.
It seems that there wants to be further discussion at that time, so. Okay. We'll move on at that point in time. Okay. Item J, Industrial Land Sale Policy Report EcoDev 04A 2019. The council receives report EcoDev 049 2019 dated May 6, 2019, and the council adopts a proposed bylaw and repeals bylaw 35 2013, being a bylaw for the sale of industrial land. And that council adopts a proposed amendment to bylaw 43 2010, being a bylaw for the disposition of land for an addition to section 3.1.2. Questions, comments, members of council? This is something we had seen previously, but there has been some changes. Conseiller Lorrain?
Just wanna make sure the changes that we had requested are in this now, in terms of the secondary review or secondary approver.
I believe it is now stating that it's coming straight to council. We've taken that option out. Monsieur Leduc?
Since when?
From staff perspective, Mr. Sabin and I have spoken about it, and in this report, we recommend to council that you keep the approval authority, so therefore, I didn't put my name in the second level of approval.
Questions, comments? Councilor Kanowski?
Okay, so that answered one of my questions. The other question I had is in the change it states that there'll be a review, proposed prioritization scoring system, so I'm not sure, is it gonna be a scoring system, or will the score offers? Just not clear on the wording about the prioritization on which one to pick. There was a scoring system, or they'll create a scoring system to make the decision.
Monsieur Leduc, Madame Tremblay?
So the scoring system was part of the appendix of the report. So, it was in the other report, we had not quite sure that it was a industrial cell policy. So yeah, so it was in the report of last 2 weeks ago, where we had like a system of points. The building that was proposed was more than 10% that you were scoring points. So we'll do that evaluation, and that's what council will see. Based on the number of employees, you have a scoring point. So that's what we're proposing to council, is instead of having a full report, you'll see our scores that council will be evaluating if we are moving ahead with this or not. I just wanna maybe just add something that was also not in the initial report. So as we've talked about the price per acre, initially in the report, we've talked about the $45,000, and we were repealing the existing bylaw that was stipulating that it was $25,000 an acre. So what I'm suggesting is that the remaining land of phases that are not, we still have a couple of properties that are in the older phase, that the $25,000 remain the way it is, and the 45 would apply just to the future phases.
So my question is, why?
Because the reason why we're increasing the price is that we've paid the new land a lot higher prices that it was at the previous purchase.
Right.
So, and it wouldn't be fair to have in the same phase somebody that would have purchased $45,000 an acre compared to $25,000 an acre.
Well, that's the market. Sometimes I could buy my house for 200 today, but the next person buys it for 300, depending on the market.
Yeah, and on our perspective is that the price is determined by the value of the land and how much it's costing us to service, and the land that in the previous phases, the 25,000 was doing that. So that's why we're suggesting to keep it. There's not a lot of properties, as you can see in the appendix of the report. There's a 2.4 acre and a 2.1 acre property that is still remaining. So we're talking about 4 acre.
Conseiller Larrain?
I know we're talking about a small value at that point in time, the difference between the two. However, I have to say that we're looking at our land being, even at the higher rate, extremely less expensive than other lands around us that are being sold, industrial lands, significantly. So if somebody got in at 25, so be it. It could be right next door to the next property. The price now is whatever council sets it at. And I think that that's just the market at that point in time. I mean, they can go down the road and pay over $100,000 an acre if they need to on surface land. So, you know, I think the price that we're setting is extremely competitive in the marketplace. So I would want it for all land going forward.
Councilor Tarnowski?
Madam Conley, just, I had this as a note, so I'm not 100% sure, but I said remove minimum construction requirement, 10% of space taken by a building. Is that's in play right now, the 10%, or you're removing it, or?
Madame Tremblay?
So in our zoning, we have a 50% max lot coverage at this point, but the previous person that was selling those property was imposing that 10%. So we kept the 10% in the evaluation process, but we're facing now that the need in land is a lot higher than the building, because people are using that property to do storage or car showing, and so it's for us, we're kind of always left in the sense that they don't meet or they're close to meet that 10%. So we're removing that out of the agreements, but we're still gonna evaluate that the size of the building is big enough for the property that they're purchasing. So it's still in the criteria, but before it was in the agreement, not in the policy. So we're just making sure that we're not selling too much property for the size of the building that they're gonna use.
So in other words, it's not a deal breaker,
Yeah.
but it could affect the value of the deal.
Exactly, and the scoring
For the
sheet.
township,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
D'autres questions, commentaires, même du conseil? Quelque chose d'autre à ajouter? Madame Tremblay?
Non, les changements, and just I want to explain the reasoning why we got back to council, and I think Mr. Tarnowski brought a good point that you're aware with the sale when we're selling it, and for us to bring a report every 4 times or during the month, it's as much work than just bring it every time as we go. And I think with the new proposal and not having a full report, but just seeing the scoring, it's gonna go fast and it's gonna not create as much work as bringing a full report.
Conseiller Larin?
So can we remove this item as well, so we can vote on it separately?
Yep.
Just because I think there's gonna be amendments to it, so.
How do you feel? Okay. That one. Monsieur Leduc?
Monsieur le maire, mon conseil, juste pour être clair, la position de M. Lorrain, c'était que all the 4.5 acres be sold at 45K, or at least more than 25K. Okay.
Ça va être le...
Yeah, the discussion later.
Next item, which will probably be removed as well. Item K, Russell Transpo Public Transportation Service, Report EcoDev 06-2019. The council approves the report EcoDev 06-2019 dated May 6, 2019, and the council approves the proposed bylaw to award a contract and to authorize the entry into agreement with 417 Bus Lines Limited for operating Russell Transpo in the amount of $640,800 for year 1, $656,800 for year 2, and $676,500 for year 3. Those amounts include all maintenance, repair, service costs, price of fuel, but do not include the non-refundable municipal HST portion of 1.76%. Questions, comments, members of council? Councillor Tarnowski, Conseiller Brisson.
So first of all, I like the escape clause. I think that's good. I'm glad we have that. I'm disappointed there is no other interest from other organizations. And my other comment is, if a private company were to charge 10% more, why don't we increase prices to offset our contributions? That's a question I have.
Okay. I've asked that question multiple times during the years. Monsieur Leduc, Madame Tremblay.
So the prices per passes, the way that we establish it is that it's comparable and making sure that the way that it was increased throughout time, it was not too much so people could still buy the pass. Second part of my answer is that right now the pass is $247, which include the $6 for the City of Ottawa Rural Pass. So we're not going down, we're keeping that for $247. So technically, we're kind of increasing it at $6.
Just to be clear, the OC Transpo's cut out the rural pass.
Yeah.
So anybody who wants to use the OC Transpo system
Will have-
now is
yeah.
paying $247 to us and plus whatever 100 and whatever it is,
16.
116 for the rural pass,
Yeah.
whereas it was included before.
And that's the third part of my answer, is that if we still wanna be making sure that people are using the transit, we need to make it sure that it's still affordable for people, that if they wanna keep our bus and transfer. I'm not quite sure that there's a lot of people that will do that, but if we're increasing our pass, then we're losing more users, which we're going against what we're trying to achieve.
Conseiller Brisson?
Je sais que l'année dernière, il y avait eu une proposition pour de 3 ans. Je n'ai pas eu le temps de les vérifier. Est-ce que les chiffres se ressemblent à ce qui était l'autre proposition?
Madame Tremblay?
J'ai pas les chiffres devant moi, mais la grosse comparaison entre les années passées puis la proposition qu'on a, c'est que là, on est allé au marché, qu'avant, on avait tout le temps le même contracteur, on finit encore avec le même contracteur, mais au moins, on a donné l'opportunité à d'autres compagnies. La deuxième chose, c'est que les années antécédentes, l'essence n'était pas compris dans le prix total du contrat. Là, on a fait une clause, comme on avait présenté au conseil dans le tender, pour inclure l'essence dans le contrat. Donc, présentement, on a un contrat qui est 623 000 plus la taxe, qui nous donne à peu près 634 000, puis on budgète un 26 000 d'extra environ d'additionnel à ce contrat-là pour payer l'essence, qui est payée à tous les mois. Là, maintenant, ce qu'on vous présente, c'est un contrat avec les prix qui sont identifiés dans la recommandation, qui inclut l'essence. Donc, on n'a pas cette variable-là comparativement à les années antécédentes.
Mais comparativement, qu'est-ce que tu viens juste de dire, 620 cubes plus l'essence, on est roughly, on part d'un 5 000, 10 000 de différence entre les deux années. Là.
Donc, juste pour répondre à votre question, j'ai fait le calcul. En ce moment, avec le contrat, on parle de pour 3 ans 1 974 000, puis avec l'essence pour les 3 dernières années, on parle de 1 960 excusez, j'ai pas. C'est 1 972 000 dans les années antécédentes pour 3 ans. Puis là, on est à 1 974 000.
So, essentiellement, c'est pratiquement la même chose.
C'est pratiquement la même chose. Sauf que je vais juste renchérir que l'essence est rendue vraiment chère. Juste par exemple, dans l'année 2018, on avait payé 30 000 d'essence. Là, on a parti dans les derniers mois, on était à 1 000 d'essence, puis on est rendu à 1 800 déjà en voyant au mois d'avril. Donc, c'est quand même, d'ici la fin de l'année, si le prix de l'essence continue à monter, ça va nous coûter autour de notre 30 000
Conseiller Brisson?
Mais avec cette clause-là, justement, si l'essence monte beaucoup, est-ce que c'est juste le transporteur qui prend toute la différence?
C'est notre prix fixe au prix qui est mentionné présentement.
C'est tout inclus dans le contrat.
C'est ça.
Conseiller Laurent?
So this is, I'm happy on one part, I'm disappointed on the other part. The part I'm happy with is we have all-in pricing, which now we know what our costs are. There's no fluctuations to it. You know, that whole pricing activity that benefited the bus line when the calculation that was being used was absolutely ridiculous the way it was being calculated. So I'm glad that we have it in there now, in a sense where, you know, it's all in. What I'm disappointed with is that the number didn't go down further. I mean, you know, we're looking at a publicly funded program now where we get, what's the number? 400? What's the number for the gas tax? 148,000 of provincial gas tax that's included in this program. I was obviously looking for a significant reduction, so I'm disappointed with the fact that no one else bid on it, and disappointed that the price stayed relatively the same. But I'm happy that we're at a point where it's a flat number with no fluctuations. So.
Thank you very much, Councillor Lorraine. Madame Tremblay?
And I just want to reassure members of council that was a public process, so the tender was open to the public, and we even sent the tender to a specific company that expressed interest of bidding, and nobody submitted anything. So I just want to make sure that it was out there that we were looking for a company to provide our service. And yeah, I don't know what I was going to answer the second part of the question, but I don't remember, so.
Okay. Conseiller Brisson?
Ça fait que là, elle disait que comme la première année, ça coûte 640 000. De ce montant-là, on a 140 000 des taxes.
Gas tax.
Gas tax. Puis des revenus de...
435 000. Juste les revenus, ça dépend, ça varie
Ouais,
toujours.
ça varie
mais dans
toujours.
les dernières années, on avait un revenu d'environ 435 000.
So, ça fait, à la fin de la journée, une contribution municipale average 50-60.
Oui, donc ce qu'on avait préparé aux membres du conseil aussi, c'est dans les annexes du rapport financier, on avait calculé la contribution municipale, puis on a fait un calcul sur 3 ans environ. On propose une contribution municipale pour le contrat seulement de 207 000 versus dans les 3 dernières années de 297 000.
Juste être clair là-dessus, la différence, il y avait le master plan de transportation study qui a été fait, qu'il y avait une grosse différence entre les deux. Là. Pour le service comme tel, c'est comparable.
Puis juste pour confirmer, le 207 000, c'est sans prendre aucune autre dépense, juste contrat avec essence versus contrat avec essence qu'on a. Donc,
Oui.
c'est pour comparer des pommes et des pommes. Si on impliquait toutes les autres dépenses, comme l'étude qui a été faite, le feasibility study, on parlait d'une contribution municipale de 281 000 versus le 297. Donc, c'est quand même une réduction dans la contribution municipale qu'on anticipe.
Okay.
Puis juste pour confirmer que ça, c'est basé aussi sur des anticipations. Donc, c'est seulement des estimés. On ne peut pas anticiper si les résidents vont plus utiliser versus moins. Donc, au niveau du gas tax, on a utilisé les mêmes montants. Puis au niveau des utilisateurs, on a utilisé les mêmes revenus.
Puis c'est pour ça qu'on a mis un 6-month-out clause dans le contrat. Si jamais we see our ridership go down,
Yeah.
then council has the opportunity to pull the contract if notice that and we don't know what's going to happen with LRT. Is our system going to be affected? How many people are going to prefer doing it that way? So, conseiller Brisson et conseiller Lorrain.
Donc, on va faire, la municipalité va faire une contribution d'environ 75 000 par année. C'est ça?
Ben, 207 au-dessus de 3 ans, so pratiquement 70 000 pièces par année.
Ouais, c'est 70, 78. Puis, mais il ne faut pas encore oublier que dans ce 70, comme ça, on n'a pas mis un coût en publicité que notre autobus fait dans la ville quand il se promène, comparé à si c'était juste un privé. Que ça ne prend pas de temps, de publicité, que quand que le monde le voit, d'amener des clients. Fait que je crois que dans notre décision, c'est important de prendre en considération que notre contribution n'est pas tant que ça.
D'autres questions, conseiller Lorrain?
Yeah, so there's two things I was gonna say, and I lost my train of thought on the one, but on the other one is, so ultimately we're looking at 640,000 in year one, a 2.5% increase in year two, and a 3% increase in year three.
Okay. I'll throw in my 2 cents. There is a transit fund that is a grant available to the municipality because we have a transit system. It is essentially, we have the possibility of going to get $1.2 million worth of funding. Our contribution would be $300,000. So we're talking about a potential $900,000 revenue stream into the township for transit. I think similarly to the project that we applied for the bridge, this one is specific to transit. So if we don't have a transit system, we cannot apply for this project. I think this is an opportunity, thinking long term, we know that we want to build a complex down the road where the sports dome is located. Maybe we take that fund and we build a large park and ride, pave a large section that would be used for a future complex as well as a transit car ride area. So, if we decide to move ahead with the transit system, add some additional stops here and there, put some carpooling areas, use that $900,000. That way, if ever we do get out of the transit business, while we've been able to invest in our municipality and save $900,000 that we would have most likely had to spend down the road anyways. So I would hate to give up that opportunity to invest. We're talking about investing a few $100,000 to get 1.2 million or 900,000. So I think that's something we have to consider as well. Conseiller Lorrain?
I'm glad you brought up the provincial gas tax, because that was the other thing when Councillor Brisson was talking, the unknowns of ridership and whatever. The other thing is the provincial gas tax. Obviously, the previous government was going to look at doubling it in 2019. That's gone. What are we going to look at in the future with all the fight with the carbon tax? Where did all that money for the gas tax being funded through that? So how does that affect us? Well, we have to understand that, if there's 140,000 right now coming to us from the province, and we're paying 70,000 now out of the taxpayers' money, if we lose that funding for any substantial amount of that funding, taxpayers have to make it up, right? And, when we talk about not wanting to increase the fares, as an example, because we want to stay competitive, Well, those taxpayers, along with every other taxpayer, are paying increases at that point in time. If we, we talk, if we just say the full 140 plus the 70 is 210, that's 2%. 2% on an average house is $32. So everyone's paying $32 per year extra to fund one program, which is the transit. So does that mean that those people should be paying the extra 32 up front? I mean, it's coming out of one pocket or going to the other, right? So just things that we have to consider when we're doing it, and I'm not suggesting that we kill the program. I just want to make sure everyone's aware of what it means, right?
I think that'll be clear when it comes to budget time, the budget discussions we have, and that'll be up to the administration to provide us those numbers when they say, look, the government has cut funding and we're in this situation, what does council want to do? Well, we haven't really increased rates in the past few years, or very little. That might be a direction we have to go in, but as those numbers come in, then we'll have to have those discussions. Conseil Larin?
Yes, sir. But that just one comment to that is, I think the whole entire budget's going to be a sobering process this October. That the residents need to be made aware that this is going to be an extremely difficult and sobering budget with all the cuts that are coming and have already started, and that are going to continue to come from the provincial level. So,
Well,
and potentially even the federal level.
We've seen it historically. It's easy for the province or the federal government to look good, cut, download onto municipalities, and we find ourselves in a situation where we have to decide if we want to provide same level of service, maintain the same level of service with reduced funding from the province and the feds. And the only way to do that for us is to either cut somewhere else, another service level, or to increase taxation, and that, as you say, will be a sobering process during the budget sessions. Quelque chose d'autre? Other questions, comments from members of council? Quelque chose d'autre à ajouter de l'administration? No? We'll move on to the next item. Item L, Community Grants Report PR 11-2019. The council receives report PR 11-2019 dated May 6, 2019, and approves the following departments' recommendations for community grant donations in 2019 to the following group. 1, to approve an ad hoc grant in the amount of $250 to the Limoges Citizens Committee for the Boboul Family Day on August 25th, 2019. According to the community grants and contribution guidelines, the above request meets our requirements for funding. 2, to decline an in-kind grant in the amount of $195 to It's an Art Thing to cover the cost of the Palais des Sports Hall for Painter Pet Night on May 10th, 2019. Questions, comments, members of council? Conseiller Brisson.
C'était juste savoir, l'activité qui était refusée était organisée par qui?
Madame Mittal?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. It's organized by a private person, but the funds and the shelter itself is located outside of the township boundaries. So this is why we had to decline the, as per guideline.
Councillor Associate and Councillor Trinaski.
I was just curious, do our residents use that organization, or it was Freedom Dog or something, or?
The person responsible for the shelter, well, it's not a shelter per se, it's more families that take over dogs. They're all over the place. So this person lives on Nationside, so we had to base, like the shelter per se somewhere. So it's on the Nationside. She lives on Calypso.
Okay. Other questions, comments? Councillor Trinaski?
I'm happy that we're just following the policy. I thought it was because of painting that we're wearing.
I'll ask that this item be pulled out. I understand the policy states. I think that though it's similar to other projects, Day is on the nation side and it's not on the Russell side, but we're giving funding to the Limoges Committee because it is an activity for our residents as well. This activity is not talking about cash, it's talking about a hall rental at this point in time, but we can have further discussions. Councillor Associate?
Just another question, is she, like all the funds that are raised that night are going to the charity organization, or? Because I know she used to do the paint nights for us too,
Madame Bitton?
Yeah, so I just want to be clear on this. The one that is organizing the paint night is not the one that will be receiving the funds. She's just organizing the paint night because, yes, you're right, she does work for Township. She's the lady that organizes, well, not organizes, she's the one who does the paint nights for us.
Okay.
She's an instructor.
Yeah, I've taken the course.
Conseiller Brisson?
Et comme que tu disais, ça c'est vraiment une personne privée, c'est pas une organisation.
Madame Guiton?
Mr. Mayor and members of council, yes, the instructor per se, yeah, that she is a private person, yeah. And she will give the funds made from that night, the proceeds will go to
This
that
charity.
lady that takes care of the shelter, the families that look after taking over some rescue dogs, rescue cats.
Mais ces familles-là, est-ce qu'ils sont comme c'est-tu de quoi reconnu ou c'est juste comme
J'avais été sur le site web, il semble être reconnu, they've gotten awards from the city of Ottawa and stuff like that, so it seems to be a legit organization. I mean, I haven't seen any paperwork to that effect.
But
Madame Guiton?
like I mentioned, the families are all over the place, like, it's not only on Nation, they're all over. So those are families that are considered, sheltering for animals.
Good. D'autres questions, commentaires? No, we'll move on to the next item. Item M, festival license for a special event with alcoholic beverages, report PR 12-2019, request from the Marionville Softball League for their annual end-of-year tournament. It's pretty standard. Questions, comments, members of council? Councilor Tanoski?
I'm happy with supporting that. I just wanted to know, since it's an annual event, has there ever been any issues in the past with this?
Monsieur Leduc, Madame Guiton?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Yes, there have been issues, and I think Mrs. Bordeaux from the Office of Bylaw will be addressing for the noise exemption they're asking for, so she will be addressing that section, and we've addressed with the alcohol.
Okay. We'll move on to the next item. Item N, rental request from Club Joie de Vivre, report PR 13-2019. The council receives report PR 13-2019 dated May 6, 2019, and refused the reduced price rental of $200, tax included, of the Emblem Community Center, one time a month for the monthly dinner of the Club Joie de Vivre. So we've had some discussion on that. I'm not sure if we have further questions on this. Councilor Tarnowski, then Conseiller Larin.
I'd just like to take that out of the consent.
Okay, we'll remove that from the consent items. Conseiller Larin?
I was just gonna say, just remove it and talk about it then.
Okay. Move on to the next item. Item O, Fire Department Quarterly Report. The council receives report Russ M 04-2019 dated May 6, 2019. Questions, comments, members of council? Anything to add from our fire chiefs? Chief Armstrong?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I guess just to recognize on both stations, it's always nice to see that there's no fire loss, no water use, so compliments to the firefighters for doing a great pub ed job.
Perfect, congratulations, thank you. Move on to item P, festival license for a special event with alcoholic beverages, report CL 10-2019, request from the Russell Ag Society in conjunction with the Russell Lions Club for their Canada Day activities. Questions, comments, members of council? Councilor Larin.
Is it 2 licenses that they're looking for both events? Yeah, is that what we see?
Monsieur Leduc, ça travaille de...
This is my report,
Oh,
Mr.
okay.
Mayor. I'm not sure what you mean, 2 license, so it's again the Russell Ag working in conjunction with the.
Right, but there's 2
Russell
days,
Ag.
right? So it's a multi-day event
Yes.
under the same license, I guess?
That I can confirm, so we're just making one recommendation, one resolution, so they can use it,
For
for
both days.
both.
We
the way-
state both days in the
Yes.
resolution itself.
Yeah.
Okay, d'autres questions, commentaires? No? We'll move on to the next item, item Q, notice to the public policy report CL 12-2019. The council receives report CL 12-2019 dated May 6, 2019, and approves the proposed bylaw for the notice to the public policy. Questions, comments, members of council? Anything to add from the administration? Madame Camille Laflamme?
Mr. Mayor, no, so that's a policy we need to have in place, so that's why we're bringing the report and the policy at this time.
Okay, as recommended by the ministry system?
Yes, that's it.
Okay, perfect. Move on to item R, appointment of building inspector, report PD 37/2019. That council receives report PD 37/2019 dated May 6, 2019, and that council approves the proposed bylaw to appoint Daniel Tessier as building inspector of the Township of Russell as of May 6, 2019, and that council agrees to fund the additional salary costs from the construction department's human resources reserves. Questions, comments, members of council? Conseiller Brisson?
Juste pour clarifier, ça, c'en est une personne de surplus qui est engagée, que qu'est-ce qui était?
Monsieur le Duc, Madame Tremblay?
Oui, comme indiqué dans le rapport, tous les années, on engage un étudiant d'été. Notre étudiant d'été, ça fait 2 ans qu'elle était avec nous, puis elle était qualifiée, donc elle pouvait faire les small buildings comme signer des permis. Puis cette personne-là, 2 semaines passées, nous a indiqué qu'elle ne revenait pas à la municipalité parce qu'elle s'est trouvé un emploi plus près de la maison. Donc, cette personne, la nouvelle personne qu'on appointe ce soir, c'est pour en partie remplacer l'étudiant d'été, mais c'est une personne qui est complètement qualifiée en dessous du code du bâtiment qui va pouvoir performer les inspections requises. Comme indiqué dans le rapport, daté de 1er janvier au 1er mai de 2018, on avait émis 71 permis. Puis dans la même période de temps pour cette année, on a émis 200 permis. Donc, on a une augmentation de 181% du nombre de permis qui a été émis, puis on ne fournit plus. Donc, cette personne-là, à partir de ce soir, si le conseil désire de l'appointer, va pouvoir... la personne a commencé cette semaine, commencer à faire des inspections puis à signer des permis de construction pour aider le département.
Fait que c'est pour ça que ça passe à notre conseil, parce que c'est un nouveau poste directement.
Non, on n'est pas à ce moment-ci, on ne crée pas le nouveau poste. Donc, c'est un contrat qui est appliqué pour 4 mois. Donc, je vais préparer un rapport au conseil éventuellement pour créer un nouveau poste. Mais ce soir, c'est simplement pour un contrat pour appointer la personne. Parce qu'en dessous du code du bâtiment, la personne doit être appointée par le conseil pour être capable de performer en dessous du code du bâtiment.
Mais la seule chose, là, on ne peut pas avoir des subventions d'étudiants parce que c'est une personne...
Mais moi, je n'avais pas de subvention au niveau des étudiants, au niveau du salaire. Le salaire était prévu dans mon budget opérationnel.
OK, ben, je pensais que tu disais que l'autre qui avait été accepté, c'était une étudiante, puis là, qu'on pouvait aller chercher...
C'était un étudiant d'été au budget, mais je n'avais pas de subvention. Le salaire était dans le budget opérationnel, comme étudiant d'été.
C'est ça, c'est pour ça la différence pour aller dans le Human Resources.
La réserve
La
du
réserve.
département, exactement.
C'est ça. Other questions or comments? No? Quelque chose d'autre à ajouter? Correct? Item S, Environmental Advisory Committee Recommendation, Leaf and Yard Waste Additional Collection, presented by Chair Councilor Cindy Sosi. The Council receives and approves the recommendation number 2019-001 from the Environmental Advisory Committee dated April 24, 2019, and directs the administration to prepare a report and an amendment to bylaw 2018-107, being the bylaw for the establishment of fees and yearly rates for garbage, recycling, and waste management. Questions, comments, members of council? Councilor Janowski.
What's the impact of adding this additional pickup, and what's the value? Obviously, our residents, it's a nice added service, but what's the cost versus the added value? I mean, I bring mine to the dump myself. I just wanted to ask the question.
Yeah, I think at this point in time, that's to be figured out in the report. Right now, it's just the advisory committee that's asking us to look into that. Monsieur Leduc?
Mon conseil. Donc, ce système-là, c'est ici parce que les comités ont le pouvoir de recommandation. Puis nous, dans notre plan d'affaires 2019, il n'était pas dedans. Donc, dans ce contexte-là, le chef de département demande au chair du comité d'amener une recommandation au conseil, chose quand même aussi a fait. Donc, that's why this is in front of council for a direction of council to put some resources to this project.
Which is not in the business plan of this year.
That's correct.
Okay. Councilor Larin?
Do we not have that number though, what each leaf and yard waste cost collection is? I know during the budget time we talked about other things, because I had asked about adding different days for different things, and there was a cost associated to it. So are we saying we don't know what it is?
No, I think currently we have a budget line item for it, and we do the collection, twice a year currently? So it would just be a quick figure is divide that by 2, and if you add if
But
it's 6.
what's the number? Like that's what I'm asking, right?
Monsieur Godin, do you have that close by?
I probably have it somewhere in there, but I would have to validate with, Mr. Boland to know exactly what the total cost is. I can have a look and try to see if I can find something.
At this point in time, it's just asking for the administration to bring back a report on the item. Councillor Associate, you guys discussed this at the committee, and if you have anything to add?
Yeah, it was just that a lot of the residents had felt that hanging on to their yard waste that late, that they just found it was long. And, so they wanted to move the date up, that we'd have an earlier date for, so people could get rid of their yard waste. A lot of people said they worked and they weren't able to get to the transfer station when it was open. And then we added, the other date after, Halloween, because a lot of people have pumpkins and what have you. So then we said, well, we'd move that date a little closer. So that was the discussion, was just trying to accommodate residents.
Thank you. Other questions, comments? Monsieur Leduc?
We're talking about report teams, do we have?
Report questions?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So I probably could stand corrected here, if it's part of the budget, so the third collection, on item T, I think it's you that's not there, so I don't have the number exactly right now, but if it's part of the item's in the budget, but we have to do a report to council saying, do we get a better price or not, and this kind of thing.
And confirm the dates
Yeah.
in that report, exactly when it will be and that kind of stuff. Okay, so that'll be, the recommendation is just to move ahead, give direction to the administration to bring back a report. We're okay with that? Okay. Next item, item T, again, the Environmental Advisory Committee recommendation for organic collection program presented by Chair, Councilor Cindy Associate, that council receives and approves the recommendations number 2019-02 from the Environmental Advisory Committee dated April 24, 2019, and directs the administration to bring a report to the council with more information about the organic collection program. So this is similar, this is just asking that the administration bring back a report. Councilor Associate?
And just to add, it was, a lot of residents have been requesting this service because a lot are moving from the city of Ottawa and they've already had a green bin program. It also diverts a third to landfill, so we're trying to look at composting. We've been selling composters, but we still have some left and not everybody's using that service. So, it's something that I've always done, is compost all year long, and my garbage goes out sometimes every third week, so it would reduce what's going into our landfill sites.
Conseiller Laurent?
Yeah, I have an issue with S&T, just in the wording of the resolutions from the committee. Because this is, so if I go back to S for a second, just because I have it up in front of me.
Okay.
The resolution reads that council receives and approves the recommendation number 2019-01 from the environmental committee and directs the administration to prepare a report and an amendment to bylaw, and then we establish all the fees. If you read the actual resolution, it says, be it resolved that the environmental advisory committee recommends to council that the extra leaf and yard waste collection be held the fourth Saturday of October, and that the collection held on the first Saturday of November be moved to the second Saturday of November. So by approving this tonight, we're approving the third one without any financials, and then we're making all these changes. So I can't approve something without a monetary value to it to find out what that is. So I'll be honest, I'm a little disappointed that we don't have a number in front of us, when, if I'm not mistaken, the person that does this is on the committee, environmental committee, and knew this was coming to council tonight. So why don't we have a number? Right? So I'm a little disappointed I don't have those numbers in front of us if you're asking us to approve this tonight. So maybe we have to strike out approves out of the resolutions and direct staff to come back with a report to us to approve, because otherwise I can't approve this.
Yep. I think that tu peux sortir SPT. I think that might be the easiest solution, just to strike out and approve the recommendation that council receives and still gives the direction but we're not approving what's in the actual resolution at that point in time. That can be part of the report that comes down further along.
I just wanna be clear, it's not that I'm not in favor of this. I'm just from a,
Yeah.
you know, from a process perspective, it just doesn't drive.
Right, correct. Monsieur Leduc?
So, Madam Conseil, Councillor Laurent, you're absolutely right. I think this is one of the first recommendations that come through some committees. I think we'll be working more on our whereas, maybe our clerk can maybe assist the clerks of the committees to work more on the whereas, and it could have been stated that the budget is already approved and there's so much money set in the budget this year for this. So the whereas would have been there for council to review prior to being asked to review.
Yeah.
So these are the first ones coming forward, but we're working with that to improve
We'll work
those.
on the process.
Yeah.
So we have the third one already in the budget? Is that what you're saying?
Monsieur Leduc, Monsieur Leduc?
Well, we believe so, but Mr. Boulet believes it is, but
We'll have to confirm.
we don't want to confirm the amount.
Okay.
And we don't seem to be, we don't have a pinpoint where it says exactly.
Cause that changes the methodology of the actual resolution, cause then it's saying, if council already approved the third one, then we would know what that number was during the budget session, and therefore, all they're doing is asking us to reallocate the dates.
Exactly.
So, I wanna make sure I know what we're talking about here.
I think that was the intent, that's why there was no errors here, but that's part of why it was written this way.
Unfortunately, Monsieur Boulet is not on the environmental committee, and welcome.
And Monsieur Bocon is away.
Yeah, he's on vacation, well-deserved vacation, and I don't think we should nail Monsieur Boulet's first time out, so we'll, I think we'll give him a break.
I disagree.
Yeah. All right, so that's items S and T. We'll move on to item 12, which is reports from investigator and ombudsman. We have none. Item 13, notice of motions. We have none. Item 14, question period on meeting day. If anyone has questions on the meeting day, please come up to the lectern and ask your question. Seeing no members of the public up for asking questions, we'll move on to resolutions. We have, they're broken down.
Yeah, so it's at C.
Okay, so item A was a request to postpone the regular council meeting of June 3rd to June 4th, 2019. Whereas Mayor Pierre Leroux will be traveling back from the FCM conference in Quebec on June 3rd and inquired at the last regular council meeting of April 15th, 2019, if council would agree to postpone the council meeting to the day after. And whereas council on April 15th, 2019 gave a direction to the clerk to prepare a resolution for council's consideration the next meeting to postpone the June 3rd regular council meeting to June 4th. Now, therefore, be it resolved that council suspends the rules of procedure to postpone the regular council meeting set for Monday, June 3rd, 2019, pursuant to section 4.3 of the procedural bylaw number 2019-020 to Tuesday, June 4th, 2019, due to the mayor's absence. And resolve that council directs the clerk to proceed with the necessary amendments for the hall reservation website, social media, and calendars as required. Need a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Tarnowski, second by Conseiller Brisson. Questions, comments? All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Thank you very much. Item B, request to name a bridge in Russell, the Carskadden Bridge. Whereas Mayor Pierre Leroux suggested at the last regular council meeting of April 15, 2019, to name the bridge next to Duncanville Park on Concession Street in Russell the Carskadden Bridge in recognition of the family's name, and whereas council on April 15, 2019 gave a direction to clerk to prepare a resolution for council's consideration at the next council meeting, now therefore be it resolved that council recommends to the United Counties Prescott and Russell that the bridge next to Duncanville Park on Concession Street in Russell be named the Carskadden Bridge in recognition of the family's name, and resolved that council directs the clerk to submit this resolution to the UCPR for their approval since the bridge is under their responsibility. Need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Conseiller Larin, seconded by Councillor Tarnowski. Questions, comments? Conseiller Larin.
I would like to ask for a registered vote on this to show a strong support for this at the county level.
Okay. Registered vote. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Unanimously. Item C, a motion that council approve all recommendations listed on the agenda under item 11, reports from departments and council committees. And then we'll put on the table, then we'll have to remove a punch, so I need a mover and seconder to put on table. Councillor Tanoski, Conseiller Brisson, except for items,
Mr. Mayor, I'll list the ones I noted. One maybe you wanted, but it wasn't mentioned, so.
okay,
So we have 11G, like George, 11I,
okay, 10 seconds. We're going, G was the grant, what's?
G was
The-
final tax rates.
Okay, the Heritage District.
Oh, yes, sorry, yes. So 11B is the first one. 11G for the final tax rates. 11I for the Retail Business Holiday Act. 11J for Industrial Land Policy, Land Sale Policy. Was K still like?
Yes, K
K2,
removed.
so 11K, the Russell Transport. L
Right.
for community grants. M for the rental requests from Club Joie de Vivre. And
Okay.
S and T for the environmental committee.
Okay.
Everybody's a really
It's almost, okay, so B, G, I, J, K, L, N, S, T. Is this up?
Correct.
Okay, so everything except those items, it's on the table. Or, sorry, I need the amendment to remove all these. Councillor Lorraine, seconded Councillor Tanoski. So all those in favor, accepting everything except those listed items? All those opposed? Carried. So now we will go item by item. So item B, which is the Heritage Conservation District Study. Actually, before we get into this, let's take a 5-minute break.
Pensez à vous autres.
J'ai changé le bylaw pour la plan policy. Et
Mais c'est juste le processus. Je sais que d'un bord ou l'autre, on a fait de nos erreurs. C'est un processus que. Puis là, je voudrais juste vérifier, faire sûr, parce que dans la première lettre qui nous avait été dit, c'est que légalement, on ne l'était pas. Puis que cette manière-là, si on l'est vraiment, parce que je ne voudrais pas arriver et là dire, ah ben, on a entendu ça d'un ministre, mais que ça arrive des fois qu'on n'a pas l'information complètement correcte, que ça a été révisé par notre chose légale.
Monsieur le Duc?
Oui, membre du conseil, donc on avait été mandaté de Mme Bourdeau, moi-même, de s'asseoir avec M. le maire et le conseiller Lorrain pour discuter un peu le processus. Puis, évidemment, votre question a été discutée à cette table-là pour savoir si c'est vraiment vrai. Donc, oui, l'opinion légale est obtenue pour supporter la directive du ministre. Oui.
Conseiller Lorrain?
Yeah, so I'll start off by making a quick comment, and I respectfully disagree with Councilor Brisson that, the process that was taken. I think we made a lot of overtures to speak on this item, considering the objection that was put through. I know staff, I'm sure the JIC was involved. We had to spend additional legal costs to try and deal with it before the LPAT hearing. So I disagree that, we should have worked harder, we should have met with anybody, we tried, it didn't work. It's unfortunate that the party that put the objection in, wasn't as accommodating either, so, there wasn't that, mutual want, if you will, to get something done. So, we had to we revisited, we asked the legal opinion, we got the legal opinion, and now we are where we are. And, like I said, when people or companies put in objections to bylaws that are put in place, that they have to live with the consequences of what happens. And, there's been so many examples over the years, and not just in our municipality, but other municipalities where, you work with people and you try to get it down to a certain agreeable bylaw, and from an original bylaw, and then all of a sudden, as soon as that gets turned down by council, then one of the parties is gonna go and make an objection, which is what happened. And sometimes the original party's gonna go back to something that may be even worse than what they're objecting to. And, it already seems now that, we had mentioned 4 days in our original policy, our original bylaw, which was Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving, and Good Friday. And now, from what I'm hearing, Councilor Taranowski's probably gonna put an amendment on the table and ask for just Christmas and New Year's. So, they decided to put an objection in. Well, they understood that there could be consequences to that, and that these are the consequences. So I have no issue having had to revisit, spend the money that we did because of it, and now implement this new bylaw. I like the fact that we're able to put it in. I understand that it may add a little bit to those plate, having to monitor and enforce the bylaw, but I think that it makes a heck of a lot more sense than having to ship it over to the OPP to monitor. I mean, we can't lose sight of one thing here. I think the biggest thing for council that we're trying to do is keep money here. Keep our local businesses thriving. Because if we don't, and we didn't put this bylaw through, and we went to the LPAT and we got it, and we never did anything, well, that money's going to Winchester, that money's going to Ottawa, that money's going somewhere else on those days. The act is outdated, we all know that. Everyone can shop online. Like, there's so many different options out there that I think it's probably about time that we looked at it, and we probably should have done it a lot sooner. So I'm in full favor of the actual bylaw, the process that we're doing now, exempting ourselves from the act and creating our own bylaw. I'm gonna say that I would be okay to 3 rather than 4, with the inclusion of one of Good Friday or Easter Sunday in the mix as a closure date. But I'd already spoken to some of the larger business owners, and Thanksgiving I was going to take out I was going to ask it to be taken out anyway, as a closure day from what we had originally had, and that would have left with 3 days. Council can always revisit in the year and see whether or not it's working, and if we want to, we can take a day off at that point. We can cut out one of the days if we needed to, or 2 of the days if we needed to. I think it is a little bit of a shock to the businesses, because it's going to be implemented as of tomorrow. So for them, give them a year to see how it actually worked, and if it makes sense, then we add, where we subtract from it. But to me, I think I can live with the 3. I mean, I'm not opposed to the 2, but I think we can meet a middle ground and whatnot, and see if we go to 3 and add one of those other 2 days.
Okay. Councilor Associate?
Yeah, I'm in favor of the 3. Mostly everything's closed on Good Friday anyway, so in this area. And I'm of the same sentiment. I want to support local businesses. I want people to shop here, and I kind of agreed with the idea that you had said earlier, Mr. Mayor, was if a business wants to stay open, they'd stay open. If they want to close, they close. And that was kind of the way it was. But I'm in favor of those 3 dates as a closure.
Thank you very much. Just in regards to one of the comments Councilor Brisson made, that the process that we imposed ourselves on these businesses, we're actually freeing up the red tape. We're giving the choice to the businesses whether they want to open or close. We're not forcing anybody to close. So I think that imposing our will, that's not the case at all. We're actually trying to make things easier for businesses to compete in a world where 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, they can shop online. And, you know, I can click and have something delivered within 24 to 48 hours. That is the world we live in now. In regards to, I had a conversation with one of the food landowner, where on Good Friday, we were closed in Russell Township. The store in Winchester was open and had significant sales on that day. So I think it's really important to realize, as Councillor Lorraine said, that when we're closed and other places are open, a lot of our local dollars are going elsewhere. So I think that we give the choice to our businesses, whether they decide to open or not, it's fully up to them. So we've discussed this, so I'm looking if somebody wants to make an amendment. Councillor Tarnowski?
Can I just get clarification, because Councillor Lorraine talked about a third day being Easter Sunday, and
I said either or.
Yeah.
you say Easter Sunday, and
The only thing to
Easter
keep in
Sunday.
mind is Good Friday is a statutory holiday, therefore staff would be paid extra that day. Whereas if you leave Easter Sunday, people are open now. So I don't think there's much difference there. Stores are used to being open on Easter Sunday. There's actually no pay advantage for staff at that point in time. But we put an amendment on the table, see if it goes through or if changes are proposed. So.
Okay, so I'll go in favor with doing 3 days, and those 3 days being Christmas, New Year's Day, and Good Friday.
So that's the 3 days that in this municipality, businesses will need to be closed. That's correct? So that's proposed by Councillor Tarnowski, seconded?
Just to be businesses over 2,400 square feet.
Yes.
That have more than 3 employees or whatever.
Yeah,
There's-
as
per the bylaw.
Yes.
So not all business, I don't want you to scare you.
Yeah, no. As per the bylaw, and in the, just for clarification, in the bylaw, it's pretty much what was in the Retail Holiday Act,
Yes, we
the
have to
clause.
observe there's some exceptions.
Yeah. Okay, so seconded, Councillor Lorraine. So questions on that amendment? All those in favor of that amendment? All those opposed? The amendment is carried. Anything else to change? No, so I'll call on the vote as amended. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Registered vote?
Mr. Mayor, was this in the bylaw itself?
So,
At number 1.1, is this where the change is?
So
Because
it-
then we would need to do that
At the bylaw.
At the
after,
bylaw, yes.
yes.
Oui, so il va y avoir un changement dans le bylaw comme tel. On va enlever une des journées qui est
Yeah.
Just Thanksgiving.
I'll make the change.
At 1.1, is that?
Now it's 3.1.
Okay,
1.1 is just the definition.
okay, thank you.
So, parfait. So, Conseiller Bérisson's called for a registered vote, so all those in favor, raise your hands. All those opposed? Passed. Next item was item J, the industrial land sale policy report EcoDev 04A/2019. Need a mover and a seconder to put on the table. Moved by Councillor Lorraine, seconded by Councillor Brisson.
Which one, sorry?
The industrial land sale policy. Questions, comments on the policy?
Oh, yeah, there's.
Conseiller
Yeah,
Lorraine?
I guess I asked for it to come out, so.
I figured there was something.
I asked that all current lands be priced at the new rate. For the, all lands available.
Okay, so would it be?
Or at the new rate,
So,
what's that, 4.5 acres? Is that what I'm told?
the council receives report EcoDev 04A/2019 dated May 6, 2019, and the council adopts a proposed bylaw and repeals bylaw 35/2013 being a bylaw for the sale of industrial land, and the council adopts the proposed amendment to bylaw 43/2010 being a bylaw for the disposition of land for an addition section of 3.12. Est-ce que,
Is it here or on the bylaw that would do it?
well, I think we specified it. I think that section is.
Is the price?
Monsieur le Duc, Madame Tremblay, est-ce que la section 3.1.2, ça fait la référence aux 25 000?
J'ai déjà fait une autre version du règlement, sans le 25 000. Donc, c'est juste d'enlever la section dans le règlement. J'ai juste pris
Dans le bylaw ou dans la
dans
recommandation?
le règlement.
Because we might have to take out a section in the recommendation.
Non.
Section 3.1.2, c'est quoi exactement?
Je vais juste ouvrir mon document, désolé.
Can I just ask you a question?
Councillor Kanowski, question?
So question to Councillor Lorraine, so are you just asking to remove the grandfather clause kind of thing for the 25K?
Yeah.
So anything moving forward, we're still leaving the 45 of 40K per acre if the project's initiated within the first year, we're not changing any of that.
Correct.
So the section that I change is in the bylaw, section price of land 2.2D has been removed. So that section was saying that basically the remaining land as per Schedule B were 25. So I removed the Schedule B and I removed that section D, saying that it was 25 for the remaining land.
Okay, that's in the bylaw.
That's in the bylaw.
So do you,
In the
in the
report.
recommendation, do we have to make any changes in the recommendation
I'll
itself?
open the report. So in the recommendation you have, there's nothing about the price.
Mais section
It's not in
3.1.2?
the same bylaw, it's about the land disposal
Policy.
bylaw,
Okay,
so it's not in the same. And the bylaw 35, 2013 was the bylaw that was saying that all the lands were $25,000 an acre. So it's the existing policy that we're repealing. So
Okay.
there's nothing to change in
in
the
the
recommendation.
recommendation?
The amendments are only in
In
the
the bylaw
bylaws,
itself.
which you have the new bylaw.
Okay, so
that
tu
was
veux
sent
continuer
in.
d'enlever ce bylaw aussi, là, séparé. That's the new one?
Yeah.
Tu peux-tu le faire un petit peu plus gros, s'il te plaît?
So you, the only section that was removed is the D where it was saying, nonobstant toutes les sections où on mentionne le prix de A, que les terrains qui sont attachés à la cédule B vont être vendus 25 000
Okay, so that's been removed.
That's been removed.
Okay, so we'll remove the bylaw itself, we'll have to do that separately as well. Okay, so, proposed by Councillor Lorraine, do we have a seconder? Councillor Kanoski, all those in favor of the amendment? All those opposed?
That's what we do.
The amendment, c'est que
Take out the grandfather
the
clause on the
clause,
4.5
it's like-
acres.
it's now, it's 45,000 an acre regardless of where in the park you are. Okay, so all those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. So now we'll vote on the recommendation as amended. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Now we will go to section K. K was the Russell Transpo Public Transportation Service Report EcoDev 06-2019. Need a mover and a seconder to put it on the table. Moved by Conseiller Brisson, seconded by Councillor Kanoski. Questions, comments on the Russell Transpo amendments? Councillor Laurent.
Have we had any discussions with them? I know we had a whole open process and whatever. Have we had any discussions on movement on the 2.5 and the 3% increases year over year?
Madame Tremblay?
I did, and this is.
This is the best deal you could get?
We had a hard time to get the termination clause, so I think that we got this negotiated after the fact that the tender was submitted and the price, and he agreed. So I think that was the compromise.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, all those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. What was that? But keep in mind, we have an out clause anytime. Okay, we'll move on to the next item, which is item L, the community grants. Report PR 11/2019. I need a mover and a seconder to put on the table. Moved by Conseiller Lorrain, seconded by Councillor Tonoski. Questions, comments, amendments? This was in regards to, one was for approval of the Boboul Family Day, and two, to decline an in-kind grant for the It's an Art thing to cover.
I think you had the amendment.
Yeah.
I'm just checking.
Moi, j'ai pas de problème avec ça.
No. So I will, I'll move to turn decline into approve on section 2. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Associate. Questions, comments? Question?
Juste comment. C'est que, étant avec une personne privée, qu'il n'y a pas de vraiment de contrôle à qui qu'elle va le donner, tout ça, c'est pour ça que moi j'approuve parfaitement la recommandation.
Okay. Conseiller Lorrain?
So I guess just a clarification, we're giving a hall rental for free. We're not giving any money, we're not doing anything.
Yeah.
So this private person's gonna hold a fundraiser and give money to a dog rescue program. And it just happens to be in Nation Township,
That's right.
right? So that's what we're doing. We're not giving them any money.
Yeah, but we're
It's in
doing-
time.
So, but we're allowing them to use the hall to do a fundraiser.
That's right. Because the fundraiser is out of our boundaries, that's why.
It's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Similarly to when trivia nights were first starting, it was Connie Johnson who was doing the request, an individual who was raising funds and giving to a charity. It's essentially the same thing, just we're talking about a hall rental at this point.
It's just that if we be, comme moi je dis, c'est quasiment un précédent, parce que si on commence à en donner à la nation a plus politique de donner de traiter de salle. Ça fait que là, le monde va continuer à venir de nous le demander. Si c'était une organisation encore, puis la chose, j'aurais pas de problème du tout, 100%. Mais que ça soit dans un privé, dans la nation, qui est sur le bord, c'est pour ça que j'ai eu un problème. Je veux dire, ça veut dire qu'aussitôt que tu es autour, viens dans Russell, puis là, tu peux avoir une salle gratuite pour faire une levée de fonds.
Just to be clear, I believe the person making the request is a Russell Township resident. It's just the dog rescue is outside of the township.
I'd have to check. I'm not sure if Allison,
No.
the instructor is from here.
Ouais, je pense qu'elle vit à Russell. I have in mind that she lives from Russell, the girl who used to
I have to double check. I don't know her personally.
Okay. Well, anyways, I made if there's any question, Conseiller Lorrain?
Yeah, we get blasted every budget session for not supporting items in the Nation Township. You know, we had a whole bunch of requests, this last session for funding a weight park or whatever in that park because some of our residents might go over there. I mean, this is $195 out of our in-kind, it's a free hall rental. So, for me, I can support that, and if others come, we deal with them on an individual basis. I really don't, to be honest, I really don't buy into these whole precedent-setting things. You know, they're all individualistic, and if they come in and we look at each one individually, it's not a rubber stamp at that point in time, and council can always decline. You know, I had that comment before, years and years ago, when I first got on council, we had the program, and I asked about it, and the comment was, well, this is gonna be precedence. I'm like, it's not precedence setting. When the money's gone, the money's gone. If they're first in, they get the funds. If they come late, then the funds are gone. Right? If there's funds available, and it makes sense, and to me this makes sense, why wouldn't it? That's just me.
So it's, the amendment's put on table. All those in favor of the amendment? All those opposed? Carried. So now we will vote on the resolution as amended, approving both requests. All those in favor? All those opposed? I'll ask for a recorded vote, please.
On the main.
On the main. So on the recorded vote, All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. We'll move on to the next item, which is item N, rental request from the Club Joie de Vivre. Need a mover and a seconder to put on table. Moved by Conseiller Brisson, seconded by Councilor Janoski. Questions, comments? Conseiller Larin?
I'm gonna suggest that we split the difference and was it, whatever the cost is. I mean,
Well,
it's
essentially
a
it was-
it's $1,000 difference for those 7 nights. So is it $275 then for each night,
$275 as opposed to $350 taxes.
as opposed to $350 taxes?
Roughly.
So figure out the math and it's $275.
Madame Guital?
Well, the club was offering 200, well, 177 because the 200 was including tax.
Right.
Right.
So it's
And-
177.
And it's $349.50 for,
Yeah, but
with tax.
we won't calculate the tax because it's, the 177 is not including the tax.
No, but I think if what we're saying is it was they're offering 200 taxes in.
That's right.
Normally it's 350 taxes in.
Yeah.
We're saying, Councilor Alain is saying split the difference,
Okay.
275.
for those 7 dates. And that saves them $500.
C'est la moitié de qu'est-ce? 275.
$150 fois 7 fois, c'est $1,050.
So you want to give them half of it?
Yes.
So what happens to the other half?
No,
No,
so
no,
we're
$275 taxes in for each night.
No, that's the,
Pardon?
so
No,
the,
it comes up, they pay $275, and the difference
Yes.
that is from the community grants program you mentioned earlier. So that $75 difference, the
Right.
administration would take out of the community grant.
Correct. You're not losing anything. You're
I'm
getting
not
your full
getting it.
$350.
Eux autres, ils vont payer 275
Non, mais ils veulent pas payer
Ben,
275
conseil, la direction, c'est we're offering them 275. If they choose not to take it, then that's their choice.
So they pay an extra $225 because it's upstairs, based on the invoice that I see.
That's right. That's because, well,
Hold on,
okay.
I'm not finished.
I just want to clarify that though.
They need a hot plate, it's $125.
Mhm.
We have hot plates in the back of the hall, correct?
No.
That we paid for?
Okay.
Madame Guiton?
The bill they're receiving from Monsieur Liu is because they're renting dishes, real dishes. So there's fees from Shillelagh Rental. This is where the costs are, where they're coming from. They have to pay $40 because they're renting dishes, and then Shillelagh is charging Monsieur Liu an extra $150 to bring it upstairs because it's a second level story building.
Right?
They charge that to everybody. So there, just for the dishes, there's $200 charge, okay?
You're making my point.
Yeah, but there's
They're
no
not,
meters.
you're not going upstairs in the other hall.
They're
So
going,
they can't charge
they
it.
have a savings from Shillelagh.
Mhm.
So they asked for 200 taxes in.
Yeah.
The recommendation from Conseiller Larin is that we're offering 275. If they
Okay.
choose not to accept 275, they still have the deal for the hall upstairs.
or the.
Okay.
the-
So,
Or they can go to Knights of Columbus.
but the hall is 309, it's 350 basically.
Yes, so
Okay.
what we're saying is
We're splitting the difference.
275,
Mhm.
the $75 shortfall
Yeah,
is coming out of community grants.
So you're getting your full $350 for the hall rental.
Pas trop budget, ça va faire 5%.
You're gonna charge them $275, and you're gonna take $75 from the community grants. So
okay, so I'm
500.
not charging them 350.
No, you're talking.
You're charging $275 taxes in. So whatever 275 minus 13%,
Okay.
whatever that number is.
But we're still, for township, we will be losing a little bit of money.
No, how are you losing any money? You're
Because
getting it from
of
community
community
grants.
Because the hall is worth 350.
C'est pour ça que notre ami, c'est
275
Monsieur-
plus 75, c'est 350.
Monsieur Leduc, can you
Oh, okay,
please
okay.
figure this out?
Okay, I understand now, sorry.
I'm getting frustrated.
Well, okay,
We have it under control now. Councillor Janoski?
okay.
I would just like to add to that I think probably on the invoice and everything else, we should show the full amount and then show discount community grants so that they understand that they are benefiting somehow.
Okay.
And I would further add that maybe down the road, we should explore the opportunity for people that do rent on multiple occasions, that we have a standard policy around that. Just a thought.
It's just for the, if I can just clarify, for the grants, the community grants, they were not eligible for that because it's not inclusive. It's an exclusive club.
Well-
So because no one else can be attending those dinners, it's not part of our grant committee. So this is why the department could not,
Right,
grant
right,
the
but
money.
council,
Oh,
council,
yeah, I understand that,
as
but I
opposed
just
to you
want.
losing money, we're saying take it out of the community grants. We understand that we're going against our policy,
Yeah,
but instead of the department taking a hit, you're getting some funded from the community grants. Conseiller Brisson?
Puis l'autre point, c'est que autrement, s'ils décident d'aller back au Chevalier de Colombe, ben c'est un revenu qu'on n'a pas pareil.
well,
Ouais.
there's,
Puis c'est un service aussi que on rend à la communauté vieillissante, comme à l'âge d'or. Je crois que c'est juste bien vu dans
Right, just to be clear,
It's 50 plus.
if I remember the report properly, we're talking about, they have 75 people attend this dinner. So we're talking about everybody pays an extra $1 for their meal to cover the difference. That's what we're talking about. Monsieur Leduc?
Yeah, we'll just need to have two approvals, 275 plus the exception to the policy.
So we can reword that properly. Comments, Councillor Associate and Conseiller Laurent?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that, we're not, bumping anybody out on the Wednesday night. Like do you have a regular fitness class there on Wednesdays? So what's gonna happen there?
well, we'll just have to reorganize for that night, we'll have to
The
find another
schedule.
It's just that at one point, like I explained before, a lot of nights now, both halls are taken for, programs, but we'll have
So
to have
on
another look at that.
on the Wednesday, so could the programming that's currently in the hall move to the upstairs arena?
Well, that's what I just, sorry.
Yeah,
Both halls are taken.
yeah, so it'll
So-
just be swapping of locations, because the hall upstairs can hold
No, but if I already have something at the Palais des Sports, I can't have them there. You see what I mean?
Okay, but they're asking for the same nights that we've already given, that's already locked in, correct?
Well, nothing is locked in right now for their new season. They're just booked until June.
Okay, no, but we had passed the decision in the past giving them this
That's right.
block of nights.
That's right.
So technically, they're freeing up that, so whatever's in the Centre
One
Local
night, 1 night per month.
month, yeah.
Yeah, except for those, like December, January, and June.
Okay.
Those are different nights, they're Friday nights.
Conseiller Larrain and then Councillor Canasi.
Yeah, so I guess maybe I'm getting confused here, but there's the nights that they are asking for. You've already got programming on those nights.
That's right.
The seven nights, not the 4 additional, but the 7 nights that they're asking for, you're saying that you have programming in the big hall.
Yeah,
Is that my understanding?
that's right.
Okay,
But like I said, we can work around and try to maybe switch them at the Palais des Sports for that specific night. It's because it's a big program, they need a lot of space, so this is why they were at the hall.
okay. However, I wanna go to the report though. Cause the report just speaks to refusing the $200. It doesn't speak to them not having the hall that night. Like, why doesn't it say here that, and we can't support them logistically in their request? Because if we said, okay, you're right, we can't give them $200, and they went ahead and said, okay, well, I want it for $309, they couldn't have it, because it's already booked.
Well, we did not mention that because we always like to find a possibility. And I don't think this is really the last recourse to just say no because we can't work around it.
Okay.
So we like to work around those situations. The primary thing was more the money and the reasoning behind not wanting to pay the $350.
Okay.
This was mostly the reason of the report.
So it's
Because-
money, it's not logistics.
Well, it's a principle too. It's more than money, you know?
Okay, so it's money. So then, if we go ahead and say, we make administration whole, you're getting your full 350,
Yeah.
you're gonna move whatever you had in there to somewhere else.
Yeah.
Okay, now, for what we say to them, when I look at the invoice, do we have hot plates in the kitchen that they can use, or a hot surface that they can use?
Ben, il y a un fourneau.
There's the oven, and there's a little, like a réchaud.
Yeah.
So what they want is real dishes, which we do
Okay,
not
I'm not talking about the dishes though, I'm talking about
But
their
the réchaud, yeah,
invoice.
we have that, yeah,
Un
yeah.
réchaud pour aliments électriques
Yeah, we do have that.
cost them $125
Yeah.
right now.
That's why, because, you know, it's part of the whole price of the community hall. Those are little perks you get in the big
Oui,
hall.
mais je pense que ce que le
It's
conseiller
there.
avait
What I'm
dit-
saying
there.
is that's gonna be $125 that they're not gonna have to pay to Chez Lily,
That's right.
okay? Plus the $100 that they pay to go up the stairs. Regardless of what the reason why they're charging it, they're charging them $100 additional to go up the stairs. So that's $225
That's right.
that they're not gonna have to pay if we move them over to the other hall,
That's right.
correct? And what I'm saying is, well, I'm gonna save them, do the math, 225 minus the 75, I'm saving them $150
Mhm.
by moving them over and charging them the extra $75.
Mhm.
So when you're speaking to them, you can explain, listen, council is saving you $225 on your bill from Shady Lee for the hot plate and for the going upstairs, but council's gonna take $75 of that to split the difference on the hall rental. Okay, that's what we need to communicate to the group, is that we're saving them $150, even if they think we're charging them a 75 extra, we're saving them $150 by doing that.
I think everybody's on the same page for this one. Last comments? Councilor Tarnowski? You just wait. Okay, so we have a proposal. We have to make two adjustments. One is to, let's go back here to the exact report. The council receives report PR 13/2019 dated May 6, 2019, and approves, instead of refuses, the reduced price rental of 200 tax included, we're saying 275 tax included, of the Emblem Community Center, one time a month for the monthly dinner at the Club Joie de Vivre, and we'll add at the very end, and that the $75 difference be $75 per rental discount be taken from the community grants program. Is that worded properly?
And that we invoice them $200, really. The only invoice part is the 200, right?
No,
$275.
That's what it is.
Okay. Councilor Jeff.
Okay, so that's proposed by Conseiller Lorrain. Do we have a seconder? Councilor Tarnowski? Questions on this? Everybody's okay with it? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried.
The only thing we have to change was that since it was c'est dénoncé, it was a closed.
Ben, en disant qu'on sort des community grants, automatically it's done.
Non, parce qu'elle disait qu'il n'était pas admissible pour les communautés.
Oui, mais le conseil vient juste d'approuver qu'on sort des community grants.
Mr. Mayor, can I
Yes.
just confirm, so instead of refuses, we have approves?
Yes.
Instead of 200, we have 275?
That's correct.
And at the end, we add, and that the 75, what was it, discount or different?
$75 discount.
Discount?
Or that the
Seventy-
shortfall to the regular rate be taken from community grants on an exception basis.
So that the shortfall of $75 from the,
I would just say shortfall because it's not exactly $75. I would just say the shortfall from the regular rate be taken from community grants. on a-
allocated from community.
Right. Well, we don't have to do, because the council decides what to do with the community grants.
okay, so now we have, and that the shortfall from the regular rate be taken from the community grants program
The community grants income program.
in kind. Okay, thank you.
Perfect, we're good. Move on to the next item.
Give it a lot of flashing lights going on.
I saw that too.
Yes.
Go 4 or 5 vehicles.
You guys going by? No? Well, yes. Next, that was item N. We'll go to S. Need a mover and seconder to put on the table. Move, that's the environmental recommendations. So moved by Conseiller Larin, seconded by Councillor Tonoski. I'll put the amendment on the table that we remove the wording, and approves the recommendation.
Or just and approves.
And approve that
By the council receives and approves, so it just receives the recommendation, so on enlève and approves.
That's it.
Okay, so I'll move that, seconded.
Can we do them both together, S and T?
No, they're two different,
Two
Exact
different-
same thing.
Yeah, we'll just do the amendment
Yeah.
twice.
Okay.
So, I moved it, seconded by Conseil Brisson. Question, Councillor Associate?
Yeah, well, it's just that the dates for October, so it'll just come back, so, because it's gonna take a while to get that, put in place.
Monsieur Leduc?
If we're talking the S report, and it's part of the budget, let's say it's down there, then the next meeting should be coming from council to
Okay.
say the dates are fixed.
Okay. So, all those in favor of the amendment? All those opposed? Carried. All those in favor as amended? All those opposed? Carried. So now we will do the same thing for item T. I need to put it on the table. Moved by Conseil Bisson, seconded by Councillor Tonoski. Amendment, I'll propose the same amendment. I need a seconder. Seconded by Conseiller Brisson that we remove and approves. It'll be simply that council receives the recommendation, and gives direction to the administration to bring back a report. So, all those in favor of the amendment?
Doesn't say
Yes, it
It's
does.
in our resolution,
Okay.
not in our
T.
resolution.
In the one from council.
Council, item T. So, all those in favor? All those opposed? The amendment is carried. All those in favor as amended? Against? Carried. So S and T are all done. So now we move on to bylaws. Motion that council approves bylaws 2019-061 to 2019-062 and 2019-070 to 2019-074 for inclusively for first, second, and third reading as listed on the agenda. C'est quel qu'on sort? 61?
61 and 62, Dominique, es-tu correct? Ton bylaw?
Parce que
Ça en existe.
Juste celui-là, fait que le 61, le premier. Okay, well, the second one, because of the section, doesn't apply.
Disposition of
doesn't
land.
Change. The
So-
section he had
Non, sur
requested.
bylaw 2 est correct.
Okay, so
Bylaw
just,
1, c'est celui avec la version
Okay.
finale 2.
so then it's 61 and 72.
670.
61 is taken aside.
Parce que
70, il veut voter séparément.
Ah, ok.
Et après ça, il y avait 72
Oui.
pour changer. Okay. So, I need a mover and a seconder for those amendments. Take those three items out. Moved by Conseiller Larin, second by Councillor Ternoski. So we will vote, all those in favor of removing those three items? All those opposed? Carried. So we will vote on everything except those three items.
So this was the main, Councillor Larin and Councillor Tarnowski, or the?
Wait, Councillor Larin, Councillor Ternoski,
That was the main?
main to put on the table.
Okay.
And then
For taking off too.
taken out, same two
Same
to
two.
remove.
Okay.
The amendment, all those in favor of the amendment is carried. Now we'll vote on everything except those three items. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. So now we will vote on the three items individually. So 2019-61 being a bylaw for the industrial land and repeals bylaw 39-2013, Legal Dev 04A 2019. So ça, c'est juste pour dire qu'on accepte la deuxième version. So, y a-tu un changement, tu veux, dans le wording là?
We'll just say that we refer to the report
Report.
when we said what the changes were.
Okay, so we just wanted to make sure.
That is,
All good, so moved by Conseiller Larin, seconded by Conseiller Brisson. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Now we will deal with 2019-070, the bylaw to establish the final tax rates. Need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Tanoski, seconded by Conseiller Brisson. Conseiller Lorrain.
The same reasons why I asked to take it out.
Okay. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Now we go to 2972, bylaw to permit certain retail establishments to open on holidays and related amendments and repeal the current bylaw 2018-93. Put on table, Conseiller Lorrain, seconded, Councillor Ternowski. Conseiller Lorrain.
I'll make the amendment to remove from the current, I guess there are two changes that we have to do. So we have to remove from the bylaw the closure of Thanksgiving.
Yep.
And Thanksgiving and.
We're just leaving Thanksgiving, take out Thanksgiving.
Just take out Thanksgiving, I think that's the only one, right?
Yeah, the other three are there. Okay, so, that's proposed by Councillor Lorrain, seconded, Councillor Tanoski. All those in favor of the amendment?
Registered vote, I guess, right? Because I'll do it all the way through.
Sure, registered vote. Okay, so all those in favor of the amendment? All those opposed? Amendment is carried. Now we'll vote on it as amended.
Registered as well.
Registered as well. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. That takes care of the bylaw section. Item 17, new business, we have none. Item 18. Item A, Councillor Lorrain for the trail ditches.
Thank you very much. So I received a very harsh phone call the other day regarding the trail. And I know we've had the discussion before, and I'm talking about the section between Edie and North Russell, South Russell concession, whatever we're gonna call it. That water just sits there. And it can no longer just be a one event every 100 years, because it's happening every other year now, as we see with the weather changes and whatnot. I've got photos that I included in my email, just showing at least on the south side of the trail. I don't know if you have them, Joanne.
Yes, we do.
South side or the north side, in behind the people's houses?
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's the north side, but then there's the south side, which is even the bigger area. And I think on the south side, you can get depths of 3 and 4 feet there. So this is the north side. If you look at that, so that's the north side, because it's facing the new development. But I mean, look at the water there, right? So it's still a couple of feet high there. But if you scroll down to the north side, keep going down, please. That's still the north side. And I just showed some of the brush, but this is the south side, right? And that right there is very deep. And you can see some of the bridges that are there when you go by. I think on the next one, right there, like that bridge is long. So look at how much water is there.
So just for clarification,
So
is this all on township property, or is this on private property, or?
that's all township. Otherwise, they would do it themselves.
Okay.
So what the resident was asking is, what can be done to fix it? And I know we've had a conversation about this before, and I told them I would bring it back to council. I understand that one there is one that we need to talk about, because people have built all these bridges and whatnot from their property to the trail, and to do it, if I'm not mistaken, to do it and do it right all the way across, you have to destroy them all, because you have to dig it down and you have to make it sloped and all that stuff. What I'm asking for is what that would cost. That's what I'm asking council to ask staff. See, what would that cost be?
So, Monsieur Leduc, at this point in time, would you be looking for direction from council that you bring back a report on this issue at a further date?
Maybe more generally, in the general sense, we have that in our business plan to work on this trail, bring a report to council. We've done some work, preliminary work regarding the properties and who's where and who is impeding on our property. a report is being worked on and prepared for this for council, so I guess in that report, we could include maybe some data about how much it would cost to remove this, but we've been working on this for a little while and coming forward to council with this.
I'll ask a question of our infrastructure department since they're here. I guess a question for me is, what is the purpose of a ditch? Is the purpose to take away water or simply collect the water, or combination of both depending on the situation?
I would say both.
Say both?
Yep.
So some instances it's taking away water, but in other instances, obviously the amount of rain that's been happening over the
You can
first-
store water in there.
store water so that it's not on our trail,
Mhm.
or that it's not on our roads. That's the point of the ditch. Okay. Councillor Associate?
Yeah, I was also contacted by this resident, and I had forwarded it to Mr. Bourbon last week, and I know people did go out to the property. I guess my concern is like leaving it too long is that the water is into their backyard, and it's also around the sheds and what have you, like that they have in their backyard. So we really need to divert that water out of the residents' yard out.
Well, let's be clear, there could be some resident sheds that are actually on our property as
No,
opposed to
no,
their
these are
own.
definitely within their fence yard, like cause I went and took a look also and
Because a lot of the people on the trail have actually extended the fences onto our property. So I think that's part of the business plan, to come back and look at all that easement and to see how many people are actually encroaching on township property. Because you can, it's actually interesting, when you walk along the trail, you'll see like hedges, and that's where their property ends, and then you'll see a fence another 10, 15 feet.
Oh, yeah, no, I realize that, but I saw water in three residents at least, where their backyards were flooded. And that was, I thought, a bit of a concern and then the standing water issue, I guess, for mosquitoes and what have you, but,
It'll be interesting to see what the possible resolution to this, because on this section that Councillor Lorrain is talking about, we had all sorts of trees that were planted, and we might risk a solution might involve having to dig up those areas.
They're more on the north side.
So, Madame Guitar.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have some additional information to this, because following the complaint that Mrs. Sosi had and I had last fall, we had agreed with this resident to go back in the spring and see exactly what the water damage was, which we did. The infrastructure technician went last week to assess all the water issues. So we've made a work plan, an urgent work plan, if you can say, to remove some dead trees that are there, some trunks that were left there when we cut some trees, so this could maybe be holding the water. And then there's a culvert to be changed also close to the trail. And there's some high points also close to a specific address on Dunlop, so we will be looking at that one too. So those are the immediate work that we will be doing. And after that, like Monsieur Leduc mentioned, I will be coming forward to council with a report, because the survey has been done for the whole trail. So there is a lot of encroachment on the trail. Some issues will need to be addressed, but that's gonna be a later on subject.
Okay. Conseiller Lorrain?
Yeah, I guess just to clarify my request versus the other resident's request, because I don't believe, I'm speaking with Council Associate right now, it's not the same resident
No, I know.
that we're talking about.
But it's the same area, exactly the same area. It's between Edie and Concession, closer to the club. I won't say the address because I don't want to divulge the resident's name, but it's in that area.
But the concern was the water, not it wasn't necessarily the flooding, but it was the water level. And, I mean, if you go down the trail, going on the south side, that's a big drop down, and that water level is extremely high. And you got kids walking up and down the bike path going to the park now, and if they go and they fall down that embankment, they're into 4 feet deep of water. What can we do to fix that?
Madame Guitar?
And also because I I had read your concerns, so I did call the insurance this afternoon just to make sure what could we do to maybe to now resolve
Mitigate.
this. Yeah, mitigate. So, the insurance, agent, what she was proposing is to put some notices on our website and Facebook to notify parents, that, you know, be careful because there is some stagnant water there, there's, you know, a higher level because it's springtime. It's just like the area where Renoir is, we have a little creek going there, and it's fairly deep in the spring, so, residents are aware of that. And the other thing she also said is to close the trail, but closing the trail won't be really solving the problem because those backyards are backing up to the trail, so they're still, you know.
There's still an issue.
Yeah,
People are
there's
still
still
gonna
an
walk
issue.
on the trail.
So for the insurance issue, she says we're doing the right thing, by maybe just advising people to be careful. This is the way to work out when you have rivers, creeks going by, some facilities, you know, like a trail. She said, she gave the example of the trail in Ottawa, which is right beside the river. So
Okay, well, I
they
guess,
can't fence the whole.
I guess I'm gonna ask council, cause it's different, I think our two things are different. What I'm asking for is for council to direct staff to bring back a report of the cost to fix the ditches on both sides of the trail between Edie and Concession. And then council can make a decision at budget time as to whether or not they're going to do something with it for next year.
Monsieur Leduc, can that be included in the report that's being worked on as the business plan? Or is it a completely different
It's a
issue?
completely different.
That's another issue, so we
It's
can make
another
it
issue.
separate.
Okay, make it separate?
Yeah.
So Councilor Lorraine is asking that council give direction to the administration to bring forward a report, analyze the costs and how it possibly could be fixed. You'd like to see that be available for budget time? Or you wanna see it?
I see something, I'm not gonna say I want it next meeting, but I mean, if we can have something over the next couple of months that shows that we're working on something that can fix or potentially fix the problem, and then the 5 people up here will make a decision as to whether or not we wanna go forward with that project, understanding all of the aspects of what needs to be done, and obviously probably contacting all those residents on either side and letting them know that to do it right, we need to clean all this out, we need to dig down, or we need to, you know, do something to try and fix the problem. Because there's obviously a drainage problem somewhere. And I don't know what the answer is, whether it's redirecting to some sort of a storm pond or redirecting somewhere, but right now, it's a safety issue for the kids that are in that neighborhood and walking across the trail. And I would hate for one of those kids to fall in to the water when we know about this issue and, you know.
Well, like I said, there's some immediate, work that we will be doing, so that might just hurry up the,
Help alleviate the problem.
with the water. So this will definitely be done in the next week.
So Councilor Lorraine made a request, is council okay with that request to give the direction? I seem to have a direction from council to look into the matter. Conseil Brisson?
Juste un commentaire que des fois avec en allant au collège, la définition d'un fossé puis ingénieur, c'est différent. Parce qu'un bon fossé d'habitude, nous autres, c'est pour drainer, pour pas qu'il y ait d'eau qui reste. Je peux comprendre aussi, pour un autre sujet, avec au sud, qu'est-ce qui va être difficile aussi, c'est que il y a bien des arbres qui est là. Ça fait qu'on peut pas juste arriver puis s'en aller avec un bateau, s'en aller dedans. Peut-être comme que Mme Victor a mentionné, qu'en enlevant les bûches puis certaines places, que ça va être assez pour partir. Puis il y a je sais qu'au côté nord, un des problèmes, c'est que d'où il y a plus d'eau, c'est que le fossé est juste trop creux pour qu'est-ce qu'il y a de besoin. Parce que souvent, il n'y a pas besoin d'être creux de même, que c'est sûr que si on remplissait une partie puis juste garder une certaine déviation, serait assez pour régler le problème. Parce que c'est tout le temps deux. Ça, c'était le fossé original quand le train passait. Donc, avec tout ce qui s'est bâti, puis juste demander aussi, je voyais quand on était en bicyclette, que en s'en allant plus vers Eddie Road, il y a des tuyaux qui descendent au fossé. Est-ce que c'est que tu voyais que ça passait à côté de la maison, puis que ça s'en allait au fossé, puis même c'était rempli quasiment avec des roches concassées? J'ai dit, c'est tout bien qu'on a décidé justement que ça descende dans le storm sewer. Puis il y en a plus qu'un. Dans les dernières maisons, là, je pense que j'ai remarqué, il y en avait 5 ou 6 que c'était un tuyau de drainage, à peu près un tuyau de drainage de 4 à 6 pouces, qui descendait, mais il y avait un gros tas de gravier concassé, là, puis qui bloquait pratiquement le fossé. Mais j'ai dit, tout bien. En tout cas,
Ben, c'est quelque chose que.
à regarder, là.
C'est quelque chose qu'on doit regarder.
Juste pour une clarification, est-ce que c'est plus proche de concession, ça, ou de ED?
C'est les nouvelles maisons que en s'en allant plus vers Eddie. C'est
Plus
les
vers
nouvelles.
ED?
Ouais, c'est les nouvelles maisons qui sont en train de se bâtir comme c'est là. Pas ceux qui ont déjà été faites, mais ceux qui sont en train, là.
Ok, la nouvelle phase.
La nouvelle phase, là. Je voyais, il y a, comme je disais, 4-5, qu'il y a un tuyau avec du gravier concassé, du 3/4 concassé, qui est dans le fossé.
Okay. Staff will look into that. And,
C'est comme je dis, des fois, l'autre, il y a déjà une butte que ça peut être nettoyé. Puis,
Okay. Direction du conseil. Staff will come back with a report at a later time. Next item was Councillor Associate Waste Hazardous.
Well, I just wanted to report that it was a very successful day on Saturday, and I wanted to thank staff and thank Monsieur Goulet and Monsieur Bourgon, because I know he did a lot of work before he went away. and Menno, Babin, and the EAC committee members that came out to help. South Nation was there with the free tree giveaway, and we had 712 cars go through.
Nice.
I'd be anxious to hear how many liters we collected, because we did get those numbers last year,
Yeah.
and I think we certainly surpassed it because, I mean, it was a busy day, so
Good.
from 8 to 2, so thank you, everybody.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Item C, Conseiller Brisson, Communication.
oui, c'est un peu pour rapporter, comme c'est là, on a parlé pour les parcs industriels qu'on allait avoir un rapport quand un nouveau projet, une nouvelle entreprise s'installait dans la région.
Oui.
Qu'est-ce que je demanderais, c'est si on pouvait avoir la même chose quand une entreprise est acceptée, comme dans le village, des choses comme ça, parce que je prends l'exemple comme le AEW, OK, il y en a qui, avec le planning comité qui l'avait vu, tout ça, mais qu'on sache qu'est-ce qui s'en vient. Là, il y en a qui me demandent, c'est-tu vrai qu'un AEW qui s'en vient? Là, tu le vois sur Facebook. Toi, tu réponds, ben, je le sais pas. C'est vrai que ça nous fait paraître mal un peu. C'est pour ça qu'avant que ça sorte sur Facebook, si on pouvait savoir, en tant que conseiller, tout ça, que quand il y a des nouvelles choses confirmées,
Je pourrais, j'ai fait la vidéo, ça m'a juste clarifié deux choses. Les plans comme tels, ils étaient disponibles sur le site web de la municipalité. Ça fait
Sans circuler à toutes les membres.
son conseil, ça fait un mois. Ça disait que c'était un restaurant avec un drive-thru, un gas station, un car wash. Ça, c'est tout indiqué sur les plans. Le nom de la compagnie comme telle, ça, c'est vraiment the land developer or the project owner who decides when he wants to announce. C'est pas comme... J'ai eu des contacts avec lui, il était prêt à faire une vidéo on his time frame. Until he's willing to share that information, it's not up to me to advise people that, what to announce. If, I can definitely send a email to council members when the video is being posted, just to give a heads up saying, look, I'm announcing this by social media. But again, if you're not reading your emails right away, you're going to find yourself in the same situation. I have no problem doing that, but I think that we have a lot of businesses that have a lot of discussions as to what businesses might come into the township, and it's really up to the project owner themselves to announce are willing to give that information out. But you mentioned, Madame Tremblay, les plans étaient circulés aux membres du conseil, and it's been on our website for at least 3-4 weeks, correct? I believe that.
So as soon as it's circulated through the site plan comments, so you have all the plans and they're forwarded to members of council for comments. And just keep in mind that those are just new businesses, right? So there's businesses that don't go through that site plan that we're not even aware of. So even for us, it's hard to keep track. So, because we don't have businesses business licenses, we are trying as much as possible when we drive by to see if there's new businesses. We stop by and introduce ourselves as much as possible, but those businesses are just the new ones that have to go through the site plan, and that's the only reason why we're aware of it. So
if they're not going through site plan, then
I see it if I go grab a coffee at Tim Hortons like everybody else. So it's hard for us to keep track, to be honest.
Okay.
And in our business plan, you'll see that we're coming up with business licenses, and this is one of the reasons why we want to introduce that, to make sure that
We're fully aware.
and that we follow the process and that we are available to them if they have questions, and make sure that they comply with all the bylaws that are applicable.
So I have no problem in the future sending an email out when I'm going to post something on social media, but it'll be at that same point in time, because it's really up to the person who owns the project to determine when they want to announce.
And most of the time it's confidential as well. And they request from us, as soon as we meet for, quand on rencontre avec la préconsultation, ils nous demandent d'enlever les noms sur les plans, puis c'est confidentiel, fait qu'on sait jamais c'est quand. Fait que c'est plus compliqué que de juste dire allô tout le monde, il y a quelque chose qui s'en vient, mais c'est sûr et certain que quand c'est peut-être un email au membre du conseil à ce moment-là qui peut être fait quand on peut officialiser c'est quoi les compagnies qui viennent.
Parfait. Item D, Councilor Alain, Putmasters.
Just want to encourage everyone to maybe go get some rain boots and some rain jackets and some fishing poles at the same time, and come down and enjoy the 20th annual Peltmasters. From all accounts, from what I hear, it's going to be a fantastic event, rain or shine. The King Club of Russell are putting it on. I think they've taken it over, 6-7 years ago. I think they're going to recognize a lot of original people that have kept it going over the first 12 years, 14 years, whatever, before the King Club took it over. So it's a great way to meet with people, and there's, if I can quote Mr. Anthony, there are hundreds and hundreds of prizes available for registered participants. Come catch a little fish and be entered into the draws, and have a great day meeting the community. So it's this weekend. I believe it starts around 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock on Saturday night, and Friday night, and goes until Sunday early afternoon, 1 o'clock.
Yep.
I think the weigh station's at the pool. You'll see the tents up probably on Thursday, so I hope everyone comes out and supports the great local initiative.
Wonderful event. Conseil Brisson?
And I just saw that they're adding some new event with the canoe race and even canoe dress up.
Yeah, canoe and kayak racing, which I guess was done in the past, and for the 20th anniversary, they're bringing it back. So I believe some of us are judges, where we have to judge the best dressed canoe or kayak, and or the people. It'll be interesting to see.
I wish I could be there for that event and judge with you guys, but fortunately I've got 2 young boys that want to go to Comic-Con that day, so and I already have their tickets. So and I can't won't be able to make it right at the same time.
I feel the pain. Not for my boys, but for myself. Okay, and the next item was Councillor Tarnowski for Ladies' Night.
Yeah, so I would just like to recognize Linda Kemp and her team. On May 3rd, they completed the 16th Ladies' Night, and they raised over $17,000 for Deborah Canada. There's a press release that's going out, I think, first thing tomorrow morning with all the details. But that's a great accomplishment, and done in memory of the late Jeanette Otis. So that was awesome. Great community event. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item 19, public consultations hearings, we have none. Item 20, closed session. Before we go into closed session, we'll take a 5-minute break, and then we'll go into closed session when we get back.
So, are we moving to go in closed session now?
Not really.
No?
Now, that's going to keep going. If we're going to go into closed session, we can't go into it.
Okay.
Je ferme tout ça. Le
It's
webcast.
become our break. So,
Un break, puis on
Is this
revient.
un break one?
on revient dans 5 minutes, on dit we're going in closed session.
Okay.
Old. Triumphant.
Là, je comprends. Moi, je sais qu'il ne veut pas me le donner.
Did you get a DD request?
I didn't understand it.
Okay, so these are the dates. I need to know if you're available.
too greedy, I'm gonna start taking more stuff away. Exactly. Like we talked about today, Jean.
Ouais, techniquement, on est encore ouvert. là. Mais qu'est-ce qui arrive, c'est as soon as we pass it to that we're in closed session, nobody can leave. C'est ça qu'est-ce qui arrive.
Mais on n'est pas commencé, parce que c'est encore closed session, on dit à quelle heure qu'on ouvre.
Oui, oui, mais aussitôt qu'on passe la résolution, we're going in closed session, we're in closed session. Hein? OK, non, mais une fois qu'on dit, on passe, on vote et on dit qu'on est en closed session, on tombe en closed session.
Non, parce qu'on ouvre après le closed session à une heure précise. Donc, entre les deux, c'est en break.
Hein?
C'est toujours une minute.
OK, ben c'est à cause, au niveau des côtés, je m'ai fait dire, on ne va pas prendre une pause, parce qu'aussitôt qu'on va en closed session, on est en closed session. Puis on ne peut pas partir parce qu'on a approuvé qu'on est en closed session. Ça, c'est la seule raison. I'm fine either way. Hein? Mais c'est, oui. Ben c'est ça que j'ai fait. À la place de lire 20, j'ai dit on prend une pause. Puis là, on revient. Hein? Oui, c'est ça la porte ouverte. Là, on va revenir, on s'en va en closed session. Parce que si j'aurais fait 20 et on est en closed session, techniquement, il n'y a personne qui est supposé de partir dans la rentrée.
Tout le monde décide. Non, pas de suite.
OK. Motion to move closed session at the hour of 9:28. I'm looking at that clock. To address matters pertaining to Section 1, litigation or potential litigation with respect to a property in the 417 Industrial Park. Section 2E, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board. Need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Kanowski, seconded by Conseiller Brisson. All those in favor? All those opposed? We are now in closed session.